Night on the Black Channel. We're going to be having a bit of a special discussion here tonight. We're going to have a Prove Me Wrong. Turning Point and its founder, one of his co-founders, Charlie Kirk, is a racist hate group. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong if you can here. We're going to be opening up things here for folks to call in a little bit earlier here tonight so that there will be no delay necessarily. Now, I could start with some low-hanging fruit here. Of course, the ADL has marked them as one of these groups to take a look at here. They're constantly getting into trouble, so the ADL certainly has an opinion about Turning Point USA. Of course, if you watched last night's program about the whole story about Charlie Kirk, you saw some of the racist things that they made their bread and butter over the course of the last decade. Some of the most repugnant, disturbing, and disgusting white supremacist talking points they tried to foment. But then again, when you've got millionaires bankrolling you, it goes a little bit easier there. Then you take a look at some of the folks who go to their conventions, for example. You take a look at some of the folks who go to their conventions. They talk about Turning Point and they have their little get-togethers and whatnot. But everybody didn't tell you what happens at the get-togethers and how some of these folks actually really think. For example, there is one in particular, Morgan Ariel. Morgan Ariel here, for those of you who are not aware, a few weeks ago, they had a little dust-up among some of these TradCon e-girls, and one in particular, Morgan Ariel, was really upset because some of these girls are going back and forth about some of their experiences at Turning Point. And Morgan wanted to air out a woman named Emily Saves America. And these are all very nice, congenial, civil females over there. Emily said, "Morgan, your baby daddy's abandoned you. You're raising a bastard child, and you act like you're better than other people." To which Morgan responded, "None of that's true, Emily, but unlike you, I don't lie, so here are some facts. You got, oh boy, in the middle of a hotel lobby at a Turning Point USA event while everybody watched, and there were families around." Man, if you all wondered why it was that so many of these socially awkward folks would be showing up at this thing, it's kind of like a freak off for nerds, I guess, for political wonks. Kind of like a freak off for political wonks is what they really do over there. She said, "You brag about having sex with married MAGA dads and doing drugs. You've been completely ran through by both single and married men in the right wing. You call young virgins losers and encouraged them to have premarital sex, and you're pro-abortion. You're a disgusting feminist whore with a Jezebel spirit who uses filters in all of her videos and lives in rebellion to God while grifting off of the conservative movement and simultaneously trashes women who desire to live God-honoring lifestyles because their engagement rings didn't cost enough." Oh, man. But Morgan wasn't done. You want to talk about some of these wonderful Turning Point USA representatives? She was expressing some of the Turning Point USA values. Well, she had some choice words for Pearly Things Pearl Davis. She had some choice words for her. And she has said, as you can see on your screen, well, here's Turning Point's values. About time somebody was brutally honest about what they really think over there. Pearl has said, well, you're a single mother with a public video admitting you have human papillomavirus. You may want to sit this one out. To which she responded, "You suck black. And probably have AIDS." So yeah, folks, this is what it means to be part of Turning Point. I mean, this is what they really are. About time somebody told the truth about it. This is what they really are. Yeah, when you get beyond some of the photos on Fox News and some of the nonsense public access TV propaganda they put up, yeah, this is what really happens. Now, maybe some of you are thinking, oh, well, nobody of any real significance endorses that kind of thing. I'm so glad that you said that. So glad that you said that, because actually that wouldn't be a true statement either. Why? None other than Brett Cooper. Daily Wire, conservative extraordinaire Brett Cooper. Why? When she heard about the girls going back and forth, not only did she not ignore it, she wanted to let you know, oh, not only does she know it's been happening for years.
A lot of these people will grift and leech onto these labels for money and attention online when they aren't actually living the values that are attached to that label that they have now assigned themselves, if that makes sense. Sorry, I think that this is probably getting kind of jumbled, but I'm trying to get to a point here. Like, these alleged stories about these women and women like them and things that happen at these conferences, which I have attended as a student, I've spoken at, like, these aren't new to me, unfortunately. Like, this is not shocking information, and it's not just women. Like, I hear stories about men going to these conferences and cheating on their wives, straight men getting to these conferences and going on Grindr and hooking up with dudes. I did a whole interview with my friend Amir, and we talked about the hypocrisy and what he sees as a gay man at so many of these conferences. You know, the trad women who LARP online for attention, but meanwhile are sleeping around with a bunch of guys behind the scenes, not actually living the values that they say that they are, and are encouraging other women to follow. And this is not meant to discourage people or black pill you guys. I'm just trying to be honest about.
Well, thank you very much for being honest. We appreciate that. Yeah, man, this is Turning Points. This is Charlie Kirk's organization. This is what he handpicked, put together. And this is what was really going on. And I'm willing to wager that he was sampling the wares. What? Oh, I can pretty much guarantee that he was sampling some of the wares there as well. I'll put good money on that he was. Don't worry, eventually one of them chicks is going to come out. Actually, a few of those chicks are eventually going to come out and drop the dime on him. Eventually they will. But yeah, if you ever want to know what happens, what Turning Point USA is really about, what their values really are. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't go even further, because remember that Ariel that we just discussed there? Remember her? Yeah, so glad that we brought that up there, because I wanted to have a few moments to go into that too, because she's had some choice words to say here. She's had some choice words to say. After all, and remember, these are for all the Turning Points people here. These are for all the Turning Points people who want to talk about how wonderful they are and nothing racist going on or anything like that. Nothing like that. I'm glad to hear that. She's had a few choice words here. Remember, this is Turning Points peeps. This is the caliber of people you can have around and be around if you're willing to hang out with them. This is what you're going to treat yourself to. Oh, look at this too, by the way. Wow. Look at this. Yeah. Fine, upstanding people in the Turning Points world. I mean, these are some of their biggest and best and brightest examples. Why, look at this. Fine, upstanding example. Why would you not want to become like this? Why would you not want to become like this? You can read what you see on your screen there. Yes, a fine, shining example of the love of Jesus Christ. Yes, she's the one telling you about living a God lifestyle, and you kind of have to wonder who's her God, Moloch. But yeah, this is the chick here, Turning Points and a godly lifestyle. Why, yes, of course, Jesus, of course, talks about all the little F's. And, of course, Jesus may be black, but he hates black people, but he hates. So I submit to you. Turning Point USA has been, is, and will always be a white supremacist hate group. Prove me wrong. You have evidence to the contrary here. Anybody who wants to question that, in the spirit of their now late founder, Charlie Kirk, prove me wrong. We'll go ahead and allow you to have an opportunity to do that. This is going to be a little bit different from what we usually do. A little bit different. I usually have a bit of a monologue before I go and open the lines for folks to call up on Zoom. But tonight's going to be a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and just jump right off into it and open up the Zoom lines here. I'm going to go ahead and take a brief commercial, non-commercial break, so they'll give you all time if you want to weigh in on that because, I've got a lot more to bring you. Even if the Turning Point's defenders or folks out there, advocates for it, are prove me right by not proving me wrong, don't worry, I've got more to show you because I certainly wouldn't want to be without that. So there's the link to the Zoom. There's the link to the Zoom right there. Now, for folks who do not understand how we do things here, let me go ahead and explain it to you. If you are somebody who disagrees, disputes, or otherwise, you do not get to do it in the chat room. You are only allowed to do it through the Zoom link. You cannot be in the chat room expressing your disagreement or dissent. If you disagree or dissent, you may only do so through the Zoom link. If you attempt to use the chat room to low-key disagree, you will be removed. So if you wish to respond, you do it directly to the host. So everyone can hear exactly what you have to say, and everyone can hear it exactly the way you're going to say it. So that's just exactly what Charlie Kirk would want now, isn't it? So no hiding in the chat room there. If you disagree or have a dissent from it, that's what the Zoom link is for. It's pinned to the top of the chat room there. You see the lightning bolt. And some of the white supremacists are like, that's for me. I guess lightning bolt's for you. Sure. That'll be available for you there as well. And I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started where this is going to go tonight. So last night was a barn burner. Been getting a lot of praise about that. Got even more coming in that regard, so go ahead and step right in. Before we do that, though, give you all a chance to line up. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break, and then we're going to come back and talk to anyone and everyone who wants to speak up on this. We will talk to anyone and everyone. You are more than welcome to do so. Before we do, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to GoGo. In the Super Chat, thank you very much for your support tonight, GoGo, to Chief Rocka, Tom Slick, and to everyone else who has contributed to support tonight's program. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we'll be talking to all of you. Turning Point is a hate group. And by the way, we'll be talking about what we're going to do about that. This is the Black Channel.
Be the teacher, knowledge on the block. Got the kids learning, minds open like a lock. Books and skills from the east to the west. Bringing education, yeah, we're simply the best. Classes on fire, brains burning with desire. Innovation driving like a tire through the mire. Math, science, history, we got the whole range. Kids hitting new heights, teachers making a change. Used to be the teacher, stacking up the grades. Future bright shining, no need for no shades. Got the youth thriving, moving up the ladder. Smart and sharp, brains growing fatter. Lessons so lit, yeah, they stay in a blaze. Every mind sharp like a sword in the haze. Mr. B in the house breaking knowledge chains. Education kingpin, we repping the games. Used to be the teacher.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Glad to be with you all here this evening. And we are discussing, in light of the expose on Charlie Kirk's life that we did last night, we are now turning attention to their organization, Turning Point, a racist, right-wing, white supremacist hate group. They're no longer even being subtle about it anymore, but tonight's your opportunity to prove me wrong. Now, letting everybody know here, you are more than welcome to give us a call on Zoom. Let's explain to you how we do things here first. Make sure when you're on Zoom, just to make sure we don't have any trolling issues, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on. You will not be shown to the internet. The internet and YouTube will not see you. I'm the only person who will, just to make sure we don't have any trolling issues. We just want to make sure that everybody who speaks to me, that you actually want to speak to me, and that we won't have any trolling problems. So make sure you have that. If you don't have that, you cannot be on. We got some folks piling up on Zoom here, and I got some other points I want to make here as well. Few more things I want to go into here momentarily, and we will. All right, first we got Truth up here on Zoom. All right, Truth, and what is on your mind? Everybody know. Make sure you turn off your speakers. Give us a call on Zoom. Let's explain to you how we do things here first. Okay. Make sure when you're on Zoom, just to make folks, some of y'all are new to Zoom apparently. You know what? I'm going to be very charitable. I'm just going to put him back in the waiting room. Some of y'all might be new to it. You need to be listening. Just try again. All right, let's go ahead and go on to the next person here. We got King here on Zoom. All right, King, and what is on your mind? Unmute yourself.
Hey, what's up, Jason Black? Glad to be on your show. I was just coming on. Lies? Yeah. Anyways, well, I was just coming on your show because I saw what you said, and you said you can't really say anything in the chat, so I didn't want to get eliminated out of the chat. But I just felt like where you're coming from, I don't even think that's the question. I don't even think that. I think everybody knows that this is a white supremacy organization group in the way that they talk. From your definition of how you spell things out.
Well, like I said, there's some folks who would claim it's not.
So what are we talking about here? Because I think someone like you, with the things that you were saying, because I really respect the things that you say and everything that you've been doing. I've been following you for a minute. And I feel like you have the voice and the platform in order to get the culture in line to what we need to do, not necessarily just reiterate what we already know about this dude. That's not the point of what's going on this week. That's not the point at all.
Well, there are a lot of other folks out there who have a very much differing opinion on that, but thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me go back and see if we can try Truth one more time here. I got other folks on the line, and I'll try Truth one more time and see if he's paying attention here. If he is, he'll be on. If he's not, he'll take the evening off. Okay, Truth, you're back on again. Are you listening?
Yeah, I just had some problems with my speakers. It's Ricky Manor here. Did you notice that with the TPUSA thing, I noticed that you talked about this a lot with the lightning bolt. Another thing that I caught guard of was when the Cash Patel had told Charlie Kirk in his last words that he'd send him a Valhalla. That's Viking language. I was wanting to know if anybody caught that.
A bunch of people caught that, and it's all over Twitter. Folks have been speaking about that, and the great thing about Donald Trump getting reelected is what I said was going to happen. It's going to lull them all into a false sense of security. They're going to outrageously, stupidly overplay their hand rather than be smart and intelligent, because they're not. rather than be strategic and tactical, because they sure aren't, and be low-key and just take it easy. They've instead told themselves, you see, Trump wins by 1%, and so that means 99% of the country agrees with us. And so it's foot to the floor. And of course, what they're doing is they're mask off now, and they're going way overboard, and they're saying a bunch of quiet stuff out loud. And they're just reminding everybody why you don't like them. Now, they can't see it. They didn't even. It would be different if they waited 3 years before they started doing this. They're doing it in the first year, so they don't get it. They never get it.
Yeah, that was the thing that I was trying to figure out too. And on top of that, I believe that the only reason that Charlie Kirk is valued by them, based on something you said last night, that they had to invest time and money into him. And on top of that, he sold the illusion that these poor white folks can be accepted by the wealthy white elites. So they looked at him, he sold a false illusion of inclusion with them. So those are my thoughts on that one. I just want to know what you thought about that as well.
He was funded, an AstroTurf individual funded by very, very wealthy people who he could do something that those old, rich white men could not do. He was a member of his generation, which is what they're always looking for. Mark Zuckerberg, and Turning Point USA is a white supremacist Silicon Valley startup, basically. And when Silicon Valley, what are you looking for? A young person, you think that gives them cachet with their generation. So Mark Zuckerberg, Snapchat, Instagram, you name it. There's a reason why they all look the same. A young person in their 20s. Oh, he knows how to talk to folk. And maybe he does. Maybe he understands a little bit more. And that's essentially the model that they followed here. And it wasn't really all that successful to what they're thinking. There's a whole bunch of people grossly exaggerating its efficacy because the internet just says things. Reality is actually different. What it is, though, is it gave them a spokesperson who was insulated from the job and employment market. Because if he actually did anything else other than be turning points, he'd be in Richard Spencer land.
Wow. And then on top of that, there's a lot of mess going on with the Groypers. I saw where Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes are going at it with each other, and they're like playing hot potato with what was being said. And some people are playing videos that Nick Fuentes had made 3 weeks ago. So
no, a whole bunch of folks who were enemies of Charlie Kirk, Ian Carroll, Nick Fuentes, Laura Loomer, a whole bunch of them were trashing him right up until the second he got shot. And Nick Fuentes in particular, but all these folks, that's the demon that they made. They attempted to replatform this unreformed Nazi. They attempted to replatform him because they figured, okay, you have a soft Nazi in the White House. Let's just bring hardcore Nazism. And here comes Nick Fuentes. And Nick was like, you know what? There's a lot more power to be gained by going at you guys than going at the so-called liberals. So that's the part they didn't count on occurring. And what happened now is that Nick was sitting up here with his own underground movement and going at all of them. And now you find out that the shooter, Tyler Robinson, you find out that the shooter was a part of one of these Groyper groups. Now you're finding out that that's the case. So there is very little daylight now, apparently, between the shooter and Nick Fuentes, and Nick's been real conciliatory in the last 3 days. He's put up a couple of videos. He's been real conciliatory. He wants no smoke whatsoever. He said Jesus more times than Robert Tilton and Jimmy Swaggart put together. I mean, he's Jesus now. He's very concerned that people are going to look into Tyler a lot closer and see, you know what? He was mobbed up with you Groypers. And what that tells me, I just wonder if you look into Tyler long enough, I wonder if there was any communication between him and Nick. If we find out that there was even so much as one exchange between the two of them, Nick's in trouble. And nobody wants to focus on that because everybody can see this dude was not a left winger or anything like that. It's like, no, he ran around with you right wing dudes. And most likely this is a radicalized ultra right winger who was with a group of right wing dissidents. And he was like, yeah, who the real enemy is. So if it turns out you get any concrete evidence there, the Fox News people are going to be committing mass suicide, and the rest of them are going to just basically disband.
Yeah, I think the funny part about that too is that if we do find out that it was one of the Groypers that actually done this and it becomes concrete evidence, then basically Ben Shapiro because I heard Ben Shapiro was going to take over TPUSA. So Ben Shapiro would be untouched or untouchable.
Now I don't know about that part in particular. I heard Ben say when I was monitoring him a couple of days ago that he was going to continue his tours that he was doing and that maybe he might do some of what Charlie was doing. I haven't confirmed that part you're talking about there. I've heard some folks say, but I haven't confirmed that he's taken over Turning Point yet. I haven't confirmed that. I know some people are saying it. I have not personally heard that. I know he did say about he was going to continue his tours. But as far as Turning Point, I'm still checking in that to make sure. If I find something concrete, I'll let you know. But yes, I heard that from other people. I think Ian Carroll said that. But I haven't seen, to my knowledge, not yet. So I'll keep looking. Maybe I'm missing something. But I will tell you, if that occurs, Charlie Kirk gets knocked off and Ben Shapiro takes over Turning Point, that looks hella suspicious, don't it?
Very, very hella suspicious.
Turning Point's over at that point. I don't see how you keep going. If something like that occurs, I don't see how you keep going.
And with Ben Shapiro, I mean, he's not really revered as he used to be. You know, when he gave Candace Owens his Walker Papers, she took the white supremacists that used to support Ben Shapiro with her. The only people that are left for Daily Wire are the evangelicals, and the evangelicals, well, they back Israel. So that's going to be something to see fall apart right there. And we're only, not even a year into Trump's presidency. I wonder what the Republican Party is going to look like in 4 years.
I don't think you have even really evangelicals for Daily Wire anymore. I think you just have hardcore right-wingers, white supremacists, Nazis who are older, but the younger folks have pretty much said, yeah, we're done with that. They really broke with them on the Israel thing. That Israel thing was really a deal breaker. What happened in Gaza, the millennials and Gen Z and whatnot see that radically different than the Matt Walshes do, Matt Walsh is a little bit different. He tries to hide it, but the rest of the Daily Wire people, they see it radically different for them. These are not the, Billy Graham evangelicals of the 70s and 80s. That's not what these 20-somethings and teenagers are today. So it doesn't work anymore. So all I can say is they're not friends of Ben. They would much more likely align with Candace. And if he does take over Turning Point, you might as well go ahead and turn the lights out. It's over.
Wow. And you don't think they're going to have anybody to groom for Charlie Kirk's replacement?
I mean, if you were going to do that, you should have been doing that years ago. They put all their eggs in that particular basket. There was a reason why the white supremacist government and the white supremacist dominant society was so determined to kill our leaders from the 1920s to the 1970s. Because, it's not like you have a school that just turns them out like MBAs. And that was why it was so essential to them as murder as many of them as they could. You're going to have a very difficult time replacing a Charlie Kirk. That was the result of a 15-year, 20-year investment. First socially and then the last 10, 12 years financially. He was a whole investment that was groomed, and not just groomed, but coached and formed and molded over time. And even though he got his ass kicked in so many debates, it's not even funny. Go look up Cambridge and some others, by the way, folks, if you want to see those. The only people he could win in debates were against high schoolers and college freshmen. Literally against anything else, he got the floor mopped one way and the other. So he never posted that on his pages, but other folk had to post it on theirs. And most of his debates went very, very badly for him. However, to have that image of a spokesperson out there, that takes time. And you can't just grab somebody, put them in the chair, and away we go. Remember, Daily Wire tried that. Candace Owens left. Okay, we got Brett Cooper. Brett Cooper leaves. They grabbed Brett Cooper's buddy, put her in the seat, and it's been a disaster ever since. So you can't have it. It doesn't work that way.
I'm thinking, if anything, they're going to try to put his wife up there in front of the microphone. because I mean she's everything that these white supremacists revere. Blonde hair, blue eyes, very good looking. I think if they put anybody in front of that microphone, it'll be her. And then now we're dealing with dangerous people now because, you know, these men, how they are for these women.
Yeah, the problem is that doesn't work. That will not work. These guys spent all this time defining patriarchy and white male leadership as the goal. They are not going to follow a female. They didn't do all this. They did not. They would be revolting in their bones. Take a look from Nick Fuentes to Charlie Kirk to all the rest of them. They did not build this up as white men. They didn't build up this structure just to hand it off to a female. That would be anathema to their beliefs. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. In the chat room, there have been some folks in there who have had some statements of disagreement and whatnot. Remember what we told you. You can disagree or dissent tonight, but you must call in on the Zoom. You cannot be in the chat room. So if you have any disagreement or dissent, you must click the Zoom link. Do not leave it in the chat room. The Zoom link is for you if you disagree. Not the chat room. You're out of the chat. We'll remove your ability to comment until you show up on the Zoom. So get on the Zoom. We said if you're going to prove us wrong, you get on the Zoom to prove us wrong. You do not sit in the chat room. It should be a very simple task, shouldn't it? It should, if it were possible. Certainly. All right, let's go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom now. We got some folks who got scared. They got scared over there. Not a good look for you. Not a good look. Come on now. Just don't let the whole week be a bust for y'all. All right, we got August here on Zoom. August, what's on your mind?
Hi, can you hear me, Mr. Black?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the broadcast as usual. Actually, the last gentleman, I believe, he touched on something. Since I don't have Twitter, Instagram, or anything like that, I'm kind of out of the loop. But the lightning bolt is the most telling. I know from personal experiences that's their white supremacist symbol. So when I saw that on his whatever America comeback thing like that, I'm like, well, the ignorant don't know. They're basically gangbanging. In fact, they have plenty of ways they're showing what they're down with and what they're about. And anybody who thinks otherwise is just ignorant or uninformed or purposely self-hating or racist themselves. Thanks for the good work, Mr. Black. I'll continue to listen to the podcast.
Thank you very much for checking in with us here tonight, brother. We appreciate that. Look, people, I mean, the mainstream corporate media is not even going to talk about these things. They're not going to talk about them at all. Not at all. So, fortunately, you have us to discuss this. Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom. I've got Real's Twin here on Zoom. Let's see if we can get Real's Twin up here. Real's Twin, we'll give you a couple of moments here. Remember what we said here. Just make sure you have your camera and microphone turned on so that the host can see you. YouTube will not see you, just the host, just to make sure we don't have any trolling issues, because, of course, we don't do trolling. All right, Real's Twin. And what is on you? Unmute yourself, sir. Unmute yourself, sir.
Doing?
All right,
hey,
sir. And why are you looking like a shirtless Anthony Anderson? What are we doing here? Y'all, he looks like a shirtless Gerald Levert.
I want to say something. I'm a part of Turning Point, and Turning Point is not racist.
I can
Turning
tell.
Point is not racist. I'm gonna be 100 with you.
Okay, before we get started with that, I'm gonna let you talk. I just want to find out one thing quickly here. Where are your people from originally?
America.
No, sir, not with that hairline and not with the way you talking. Where's your grandmama from?
Well, I'm a foundational Black American.
Where's your grandmother from?
My grandmother's from the South.
No, sir. The South is
South Carolina.
South. Where at in South Carolina?
I'm not too sure because I didn't really get to
Yeah, well, y'all see what happens, y'all. As soon as you ask them for specifics, the lies break down.
No, it's not a lie. She's from South Carolina.
You don't know where your grandmama is from in South Carolina? You don't know?
Nope.
Where's your grandfather from?
My grandfather's from North. My grandfather's from North Carolina.
Great. Specifically where in North Carolina?
I don't know.
He don't know. He don't know nothing, y'all. He don't know nothing.
He died before I knew him.
You got curly hair like a Dominican. Now, what you have, you got curly, you're dark skinned, but you like Sammy Sosa. You got curly hair like a Dominican. Yeah, he's smiling, y'all. He's smiling over there right now. Yeah, that's more like it.
My father, is partial Honduran, but that's
all right. There we go. Don't be ashamed of your background. Don't be ashamed of it. Stand on it.
No, I'm a Black American.
All right. What is it? That's my passport. See. All right, sir. You wanted to tell us about the virtues of Turning Point now.
So like Turning Point is like a good company, a good nonprofit. We really go out there and debate, people and wake them up from the Democrat plantation. And we bring the message from a conservative side. We are in the Black community. We're knocking on doors. We're setting up tables in the worst areas. We're not just talking about it. And I'm on the Blexit side of Turning Point. So, we are in the Black community. I've seen Charlie Kirk debate. I don't see anything racist this man has said. This man has spoke true facts. I'm from the hood. A lot of stuff that this man have said has been the truth.
You're from the hood. What hood are you from?
I'm from Bed-Stuy.
You're from Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marcus Garvey, Van Buren.
Thank y'all, because he tried to do that South Carolina thing. It's from New York, so we know the New Yorkers, they're in Caribbean.
Evergreen.
All right, there you go.
So I've been around certain areas, and like I said, I've watched, and people get unalived in front of me. So it's you know what you watch somebody get unalived a few days ago too, in the middle of Lillywhite, Utah. Yeah, but the thing
is, wow, that happens all over the place.
We cannot allow for people to come into this country illegally and take what's ours.
What's ours? With your family from Honduras.
No, listen. We're not. Most of my family's from America.
Yeah, America. He's not sure where, but he just trust me, bro. We're from America.
Listen, my grandparents passed away when I was very young.
Most people's did, yeah.
So it's not like I could get the information from them. And then, my parents,
your parents don't know where their mothers and fathers were from.
They didn't really divulge all that history.
Okay, I'm about to say, you don't have to ask your grandparents. Your mom and dad are there. You can't ask them, hey, where your parents come from?
Well, my dad is no longer here. So
okay, your mom does not know where her baby daddy come from.
Listen, all I want to say is.
Okay, do you agree with Charlie Kirk when he said that we were better off during Jim Crow?
I know what he was saying.
Okay, sir, that's a yes or no question. Do you agree with Charlie Kirk when he said that we were better off during Jim Crow?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you tell all of us what was so great about Jim Crow for Black people in America?
We were the most married. We had more wealth than we have today.
Sir, that's a lie.
We wasn't material.
Sir, that's a lie. What was our wealth back in 1940?
Our wealth was greater than it is today.
Give me the number. Give me the number.
We didn't have all this complaining.
Give me the number, sir. What was our wealth back in 1940?
I'm not going to get into numbers.
Sir, you just said we had more than we got today. Tell me what the number was.
Because there was more home ownership.
Sir, what was our home ownership back in 1940?
The home ownership was like 80%.
No, sir, that's a lie. You know why we know it's a lie, sir? We were redlined back in 1940, sir. How could that be?
We had more than we have now.
Sir, how could that be when we were redlined back in 1940?
Listen.
I know back in Honduras they didn't cover this. I understand that, but back in 1940 we were redlined. So how could we have home ownership at 80% when back then we were redlined, sir?
we had more than we have now.
Sir, and I asked you the number. You're making this up. Tell me what the number was back then.
I'm not getting into the numbers.
Folks, if you all want to know how you beat
numbers.
Charlie Kirk when he was alive, it's very simple. Just demand specifics because they just lie about everything. They throw out the slogan. I'm asking you, sir, what was our wealth back in 1940? What was our home ownership back in 1940?
I know the wealth was greater than what it is
okay,
now.
sir. How
I know they wasn't complaining
compared to
whining.
compared to white people, how much do we have?
We had a lot. We had a lot.
How much? How much? Were we 50? Was our wealth 50% of theirs?
I know.
Was our wealth 50% of theirs? 30%? 80%? How much wealth did we have compared to white people back in 1940?
All I know, we were doing better.
Sir, how do you know we were doing better if you don't know the number?
We were doing better.
How do you know? Where's your proof? Where's your proof?
History shows it.
Where's your proof? Prove it. Where's your proof?
History shows it.
Where's your proof?
I don't want to get to the discussion.
Sir, you called up to prove me wrong. I'm asking, prove me wrong. Where's your proof?
I just proved you wrong.
Where?
I proved to you that I'm a part of Turning Point, and Turning Point can't be racist.
You said that we were better off in 1940 than we were today. Tell me where.
We had the highest. We had the highest home ownership, the highest married.
Back in 1940.
Yes, we were the highest married. There wasn't as many, single mother homes.
Okay, sir, and that translated into and when I asked you about wealth, that translated into what?
That translated into what I said. We had 5 houses apiece. We had generational wealth. Like, come on. We had 5 houses apiece. Yes. And we had acres of land. Come on.
We had acres of land back in 1940.
So Jason, so you saying that we're doing better now, then why are we complaining if we're doing better?
Sir, I did not say that we're doing better now. The problem is we're doing the same. We're doing the same.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
We don't.
Socioeconomically, we have not moved in 140 years.
And that's the fault of black folks voting Democrat.
So it's not the fault of the government rigging it against us. It's our fault.
Nothing can be rigged against you in America today.
Okay, sir.
Everybody got the same 24 hours.
Okay, sir. If things cannot be economically rigged against you, then why do we have anti-monopoly and antitrust laws?
More women was married.
Sir, second try. If things cannot be economically rigged against you, why do we have antitrust and anti-monopoly laws?
Because they want people to play fair. I'm against.
Okay, but sir, you just said that things can't be rigged. You just said that things can't be rigged against you. But we have antitrust and anti-monopoly laws specifically because the government recognizes you can.
You can always get around it.
You can always get around a monopoly?
Yeah. I mean, look, Facebook bought up mostly all the social media companies. Yeah, you can get around it.
Sir, what you're saying is, like everything else, nonsense. The reason that we have anti-monopoly laws is because they call it monopoly because you can win the game and nobody else will have anything. So we have to prevent that from happening. Facebook is not proof of not having monopoly. Facebook is how you create a monopoly. Where did Facebook's capital come from, sir? Where did Google's capital come from?
It came from investors.
Who are the investors, sir? I know. Do you?
The investors are these hedge fund people.
Okay, name them.
I'm not going to get into
Okay, sir. If you all go and take a look into it, you can take a look at Google and Facebook. A lot of that money comes from the traditional media investors. If you all go ahead and take a look at that, so the old media money actually went to the so-called new media, the internet, and it rolls over just like that. And that's why generational wealth will control you and continue controlling you. And then you show up like a turnip in 2025, haven't been there the whole time, claiming ain't no monopoly, ain't nobody running something. You can get around it. And then he talks about, well, take a look at Facebook. Sir, if what Facebook did was so easy, why is it you haven't done it?
Listen. It's hard work.
And sir, okay, it's hard work, but if it's so easy, why is it you haven't done it?
I'm saying, when I say it's easy, I'm just saying like anybody can start something.
No, sir, anybody can't start something.
we got to stop complaining and start doing.
So we shouldn't point out the obvious. We shouldn't point out objective reality right in front of us.
You can start a business today.
You can't start Facebook.
You could work. You could start a nonprofit like Charlie Kirk did. Here's a man with no high school diploma. With no college degree, got a high school diploma, and he became a multimillionaire.
Okay, sir, he got it. Okay, sir. Charlie Kirk came from a rich family, sir.
No, he didn't come from no
yes.
rich family.
Okay, sir. What did his dad do for a living? What did his dad do for a living?
Working class.
What was his father's profession?
I'm not getting into what
was Charlie Kirk's father's profession? I don't
need to get into all that.
I know what his dad did for a living. Do you? Sir, I know you're a part of Turning Point. You don't know what Charlie Kirk's dad did for a living?
They were working class people.
No, they were not. Sir, what did Charlie Kirk's father do for a living?
Was living out of a garage when he started.
Sir, what did Charlie Kirk's father do for a living?
He was struggling.
No, he was not. He came from a wealthy family. They lived in a mansion. His father was an architect. His mother was a trader at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. I know more about Charlie Kirk than you do.
Listen,
I know more about Charlie Kirk than you do, Mr. Black Negro Turning Point.
Class family. Charlie Kirk came from
No, he did not. He came from a wealthy family. You don't even know what his parents did.
Charlie Kirk didn't need his family money. He
did need his family's money. His family is who helped him get in contact with Bill Montgomery and Mr. Freeze. No,
Bill Montgomery went to a Tea Party event.
No, sir. Charlie Kirk's family were the ones who got him connected to that. Are you telling us that Charlie Kirk was just a teenager who walked into a Tea Party room and they said, "Hey, kid, come over here"?
Yeah. The speech was amazing. And the guy just came and said, "Hey, don't go to college. I want you to start this Turning Point."
But, sir, we know that that's a lie because Charlie couldn't stay in college.
Charlie Kirk never went to college. He told him not to go. That's why Charlie Kirk never went.
Sir, you're saying that Charlie never enrolled in college ever.
Nope.
Okay, did Charlie ever try to get in the military?
He said he never.
Sir, did he ever try to get in the military?
Now I don't know about that part.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything.
I know from what this man said to us.
You don't know anything.
Did not go to college. He chose not to go to college.
And he also told you that he came from a, quote, working class family and struggling with. Meanwhile, he came from a wealthy family of an architect and a trader at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
Okay.
And you didn't know that.
Listen, all I know, Turning Point is not racist. It's not a hate group. It's helping a lot of people.
Charlie Kirk attacked one of the most noblest men in the history of humanity, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, what kind of not racist person does that?
He was pointing out the policies of Martin
He said that Martin Luther King Jr. was a bad man. Quote, he was a bad guy.
Yeah, he was. He cheated on his wives and did all this stuff and,
Okay, you know what? First of all, that's just a myth because if that were true and J. Edgar Hoover had sir, listen so you can learn something. If that were true, why is it that J. Edgar Hoover didn't put that out there? Why would J. Edgar Hoover hide it?
I don't know why he hid
it. Because it wasn't there. If J. Edgar Hoover had that kind of information, wouldn't he have put it out?
Charlie Kirk was a good guy.
Sir, if J. Edgar Hoover had proof that Dr. King was cheating on his wife, wouldn't he have put that evidence out?
I don't know.
Okay. That there's your proof that it's a long-standing lie. Now, Charlie Kirk, on the other hand, if you take a look at your screen, y'all, I can show you what goes down at Turning Points USA. Everybody is having the Great American Freak Off. Ain't that right, Brett Cooper? So if you've been to a Turning Points USA event and you don't look like you're a very tall dude, no insult. I'm not insulting you. No disrespect. I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying you look about 5'4", and I bet you get your chick pick up all the chicks at Turning Point when you show up. And brother, I'm not mad at you. Do what you do, man. Get it in. But let's also just admit, Turning Point is the Great American Little Millennial Freak Off.
Listen.
Yeah, y'all, he's smiling big now. Yeah, there it is.
Charlie Kirk built a conservative organization to rally up young people be critical thinkers.
He never told us to be critical about the founding fathers.
Listen,
why is it we can't be critical about the founding fathers? Why didn't he teach that?
Listen, the Constitution is the greatest guarantor of freedom.
Okay, so that means that that has no errors or flaws in it?
There's things that we're not proud of in this country.
Right, okay, why didn't he talk about that?
He has talked about it.
Okay, what about the Constitution did he criticize? What about the Constitution? Okay, educate me. What about the American Constitution did Charlie Kirk criticize?
Research. I can't do your homework.
But you just said he did. You just said he did. I can't do your
homework for you, Jason.
Sir, but you're Turning Point's representative. You can't tell me about your group.
I'm telling you right now, Turning Point is not a hate group.
Okay, then why is it that they don't have anything critical to say about white males?
They do.
Which ones? No. Which white males specifically?
Joe Biden.
No, sir. I'm talking about conservative white males.
They do. They talked about Larry Hogan. They talked about who's the other fake conservative guy?
Fake conservative. Isn't that interesting? So there are no flaws. So there are no flaws in conservatism.
Yeah, there's flaws. We got a lot of rhinos. Yeah.
No, sir. I'm talking about conservatism is not a flawed ideology.
No.
Tell me what about our experience in America do you wish to conserve, Mr. Black conservative?
Well, I want to conserve the nuclear family.
Do you have a wife?
Yes.
Is she white?
No, she's black.
Y'all, he's smiling too big on that one. I need to see the DNA. I need to see the DNA. So far, you haven't given us anything that black people should back on this. Not at all.
No, because we're waking black people up
so you're waking black people up to the fact that Dr. Martin Luther King, you're getting us woken up to the fact that Dr. King was a bad person.
We're providing resources to the communities.
What resources are you providing us?
Oh, we're back to school programs. We're helping the youth with training, and we're doing so many things to help the black community go further. We did book bag drives. We do free giveaways.
Okay, sir, we don't need another book bag drive. There's plenty of nonprofits for that. You know, we need that couple of $100 million that Charlie Kirk plugged into for his wealthy self. For those of us who want to start some real stuff, we need Turning Point to get us plugged into that.
Like I said, just give me the time in the day, give me a plan, and I'll pitch it to Turning Point.
Sir, Charlie just needs to tell them, hey, we love what y'all doing. Why don't you go ahead? Why don't you plug into some of that so we can see if they'll give? Why don't you plug into it and let's see if they give you anything?
Yeah, I would.
You plug into it and see if they give you anything.
Jason, write me a proposal and I'll take it back to Turning Point, and I guarantee they'll approve it.
Sir, I'm asking for you to show us that they'll do it for you.
I'm gonna show you.
Okay, well, you come back and show me if they give you anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you.
Okay. That was Negro Point. What? We doing better today. We doing better today. How much better? We had 5 houses apiece, and we all had lots of acres, and it was a yellow brick road. There was a lot going on. How much do we have? Plenty. What was the number? Lots. I need the number. Millions. Dr. King was a bad person. Yeah, he was. And Charlie Kirk was great. He sure was. So Dr. King was bad and Charlie Kirk was the epitome of nobility. Scotty, beam me up. All right. Who's next? Let's jump back over here. Where is WG? Let's see if we can get WG up here. I got folks piling up on Zoom. Everybody have a little bit of patience here. I'm going to see if I can get to many folks as I can. Kanaz, I think I talked to you last night. Remember, 1 call per weekend. Unless you're a Turning Point supporter. If you are, then I'll talk to you again. Okay, I got although I know you're not. WG, unmute yourself. WG, second time, unmute yourself. All this newfangled technology has them confounded.
Can you hear me?
There you go. All right, WG, and what's your position?
Yes, sir. I agree with everything you're saying. All that Sambo talk from the last caller, man, is ridiculous. But I just had a quick question for you. I've been hearing of some, conservative talking circles like Glenn Beck trying to label this guy a civil rights leader. And
you can't. Here's the problem, brother. You can't create a civil rights leader. Right. He has to be chosen by the people, people who are oppressed, the people who are sacrificed. Whining because your white privilege didn't come through for you this year, that's not being oppressed. So the people have to choose you. A bunch of privileged people on television and the internet with millions of dollars like Glenn Beck. You can't create a civil rights icon. He got to earn that from the soil, or he doesn't get it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But my quick question was, do you think with that kind of language that they're using over there, you think they're going to try to, set aside a day, like, turn this guy up into like the second MLK? I can see him doing that, which, in a way, I think it'd be a good thing because it's so ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you know what? If they try that shit, to me, that'd be a good thing.
Brother, all I can say is the meth is heavy over there at Megyn Kelly and Glenn Beck's houses. The meth is heavy. Brother, you can't fabricate an icon. You can't do it. You can wish it. You can hope it. You can put all the money into it you want to. If the people don't choose you, then it doesn't work. So a bunch of rich folks saying you've seen it in music, you've seen it in movies. They grab somebody, they pump a bunch of money into them. Everybody knows who you are. And then as soon as they stop pumping money into you, the conversation immediately stops. You cannot fabricate an icon. That comes from the bottom up, not from the top down. If the people don't choose you, you're not an icon. You're just some guy that they're trying to push on folk. But Charlie Kirk can't do that either because most people saw him for what he is. They're trying to do posthumous image rehab, and it doesn't work that way. Dr. King was beloved by the people and an icon to the people before he died. Charlie Kirk was regarded as a hate monger. Now you're going to have to erase that. It's not, well, we all loved him over here on the extremist white supremacist right. Okay, well, you don't speak for the masses.
Right. But that's the only thing I want to get your take on that. But appreciate you letting me on.
Thank you for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, I'm white and I say so won't work here. You can't just say, okay, he should be on the level of Dr. King. You got to earn what Dr. King got. And you earn that by not being a racist piece of garbage. And you have to represent the people. Something that this clown simply could not ever do. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get Douglas up here on Zoom right quick. And by the way, folks, we're just asking some questions. Turning points of white supremacist hate group. Prove us wrong. All right, we got Douglas here on Zoom, allegedly, supposedly. All right,
I'm right here, Jason. How you doing?
What's on your mind?
Okay, Jason. So we all, everybody listening, I'm sure all the audience knows that Turning Point definitely espoused some very racist, hateful ideologies. However, and I always want to deal with facts because I know from talking with you, it's got to be facts. They did have some quote unquote token black people that was working for them. So,
sir, who was the non-token who worked for them?
That's actually it. Hey,
thank you, because words matter. You said, well, there was some. Yeah, some. Okay, well, sir, who were the non-tokens?
I can't think of any.
And there's my point about that one. But go ahead.
Yeah, no. The only two that I know off the top of my head are Candace Owens, who basically was like a sister for Charlie Kirk. They traveled, went to the colleges, did their tour, did their debates. Brandon Tatum.
Are there any respected black people who consider Candace Owens to be one of their sisters?
I almost said hell to the
no. Yeah. That tells you, being a Negro pet to white supremacists. They've been doing that since the plantation. So she's the Negro pet.
And the only other one I know of is Brandon Tatum, also known as on YouTube as Officer Tatum, who treated Charlie Kirk as a brother. That's the only two black people.
He said he never saw a racist that he didn't love to kiss ass on. And by the way, who are the black people who consider Officer Coon Tatum to be their brother?
Jason Whitlock.
Okay, this hole just keeps getting deeper. So it's like I say, brother, that respect comes from the ground up. If the only places that anybody will shake your hand is at the Ku Klux Klan rally or the skinhead luncheon, that tells you everything you need to know. They didn't have, the problem with them bringing in their pet niggas is that these people don't have any respect among black folk. They can't get in a room full of black people. They can't go to an HBCU and get any support whatsoever. They have to go stand up as the token in the room full of white supremacists. And Nick Fuentes said that. By the way, Candace Owens tried to interview him, and Nick let her know, you're just our nigrous token. You're our token nigrous. Get back in your place. And what he said in that video, you know, all you DEI folk, Candace and Jason Whitlock, I'm done with all of you. So Nick already blew the cover officially on them that, yeah, all of you are just our Negro window dressing, and I'm really done with all of you. So, if that's all turning point is, they token Negroes, they've been trying this forever. The problem is, like I said, you can't choose black folk for us. We have to choose them. If we didn't choose Candace, she has no credibility, and she doesn't. You can't get a bunch of white folk and pump money into her like Cardi B and say, okay, here's our new product. If the soil doesn't choose her, she'll never be legitimate. And she isn't. And neither are the rest of them. Lieutenant Governor Roscoe P. Coltrane from wherever in the world he was, also that fella out there in the Carolinas, I think it was, and take a look how that happened. So these folks are good for their window dressing. They're good as hood ornaments for a meeting or whatever. See, we're not racist. Take a look. We brought our pet Negro over here. Yes, I'm your pet Negro, and I love white supremacy. Those Negroes just over there, the other black folks just don't understand. And here's the crazy thing about it. All of them clowns are getting paid. Brandon Tatum just got paid to go to Israel. And Candace Owens got paid from PragerU and then jumped to Turning Point. So, and then Daily Wire. So she was doing it because she was getting paid. She was doing it because she was getting paid. And by the way, do you notice how her ideology is morphed from wherever she went? And now, lo and behold, now that she's got to scrape out of living from the soil on her own, you know she hadn't really talked about black folk recently. Now, she's talking about Israel all the time. She's got a fixation with that. When she worked for Daily Wire, it was all about bomb on Negroes all day. Once she lost her in over there, I'll be damned. Now it's bomb on Israel. Not talking about black folk no more. Yeah, because there's not money in it on her YouTube channel. She was getting paid to do those things. And she, like all whores, she says whatever the money tells her to. Now, she switched up again. And what would this tell you? The past is the best indicator of the future. She will change again when the money shifts in a different direction.
That's well said. You mentioned this earlier. I'm sure I follow you, so I know you touched on this. But for the audience, and for some people who may have a different opinion, I'm still of the belief that Charlie Kirk is a better option than Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes seems to come across as far more extreme. How do you feel about the people who were supporting Charlie Kirk siphoning off and going to support?
Sir, I mean, why would I want to choose between the devil and Satan? That's a difference without a distinction. Well, Charlie Kirk is better than Nick Fuentes. That's like saying that sewage is better than a landfill. I mean, no, both of them are equally evil. Both of them are equally fragile, pathetic, and insecure, but they're both equally evil. There is no better of the two, and there certainly is no lesser of the two evils. They're both equally evil. Well, but they're both equally bad. There's no better, and furthermore, we shouldn't try to parse hairs between the devil and his wife.
Hey, as always, you always keep it real. That's why we always appreciate you, man. Continue on with the show. I'll let somebody else jump in there. You the realest, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for giving us a call tonight. People talking about show tonight. Kenneth, I don't know why you're still on there. I rung you up last night here. If you're not fanboying for Turning Points, I don't know why you're still there because I already told you. Okay. What is on your mind, sir? Mute yourself, please. I'll give you a couple more seconds here. Unmute yourself. Last try. Unmute yourself, please. Okay, Ken is, I don't know what's going on there. It's going to be a rough week for you. All right, let's see if we can go on to Nini. Nini. Maybe it's Nini. Okay, I don't know where Nini is. Nini is supposed to be on here. Nini is not. Nini is supposed to be on here, but Nini is not. Let's go see if we can try somebody else here. Let's see if we can get Jason up here. Jason Reels. Let's see if we can get Jason Reels up here. Nini, you are not paying attention. Let's see if we can get Jason Reels up here. Jason, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on for me here, just so we don't have any trolling issues. Let me get you up here. Okay, Jason. Now, we'll say this one last time. Jason, turn your camera and microphone turned on here. Make sure you have it on, and make sure you have a light on too, just so we don't have any trolling issues. The only person who sees you is me. I'm not asking anything onerous or unreasonable, just to make sure we don't have any trolling issues. You have 2 seconds to get that straightened out, or else I got to move on. It's just that simple. So if you want to talk, we can go ahead and do that. If you want to play, we're going to do something else. All right, Jason, and what's on your mind?
All right, now, my twin brother had called in.
Your twin brother called in.
We identical twins. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, you're identical twins. Hopefully they're not identical coons. Go ahead.
No. I'm not with the coon. I mean, he called up here, behind the scenes with me and him. I see things a little bit differently. See, I'm black first.
Understood.
I don't see integration.
Understood.
I see black people doing for self and doing for self only. I don't think that we need any political party or any of that crap that they try to throw at us. They both are the same people working
sir,
on the same side.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this to you for the final time, and then I'm going to drop you. Camera's on, mic's up. If you're not going to do that, this will be the last time I say it to you. If you turn it off again, you're gone. Simple as that, man.
Yeah. So
all right, and leave it just like that. All right, go ahead.
So basically, I was just saying that my twin brother, I don't know how he gets this way. Not caring about your own people, trying to do anything for a buck. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if it's your twin brother, you both got the same wallpaper there, so a little strange we got going on there. All right, let me see if we can get Nini up here. Nini, we'll try you one last time here, and then we're going to go ahead and move on. So Nini might be contacting us in between OnlyFans webcamming. Oh, I forgot. All right, here. So if you and your brother here can take the weekend off. Nini, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on for us here. I can give you 5 seconds, then we got to move on. Nini, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on here. 3 more seconds, and then we got to move on. Nini, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on for us. All right. Nini will not be joining us for the rest of the year. All right, let's see if we can get Cinder up here. Cinder from the video game Killer Instinct. All right, we got Cinder up here on Zoom. Cinder, what's on your mind?
No, I was just saying you did good with that last caller. That was smart of you, way you handle that.
I do what I can.
So I never heard it like that before. People always, especially white supremacists, say, hey, you did better then, and it don't make no sense.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. All right, let's see if we can get Maurice up here on Zoom. Maurice. Where is Maurice? Looking for Maurice here on Zoom. There you go, Maurice. All right, Maurice, what's your position?
How you doing, Jason? How's everything?
Yes, sir. What do you think?
What I wanted to say is, I was glad you basically mentioned this. There was a young sister that on Charlie Kirk's show, he was asking about DUI, and he could have, and like you were saying, she could have literally shut him down all she had to basically do, because he was asking her about racism, and all she had to do was basically simply say that it was a diagnosis. You know, I know you basically speaking about yesterday about Dr. Frances Welsing, who was basically a psychiatrist, and a psychiatrist deals with, you know, people's basically mental issues and everything else like that too. And racism is basically a mental health issue. And she could have literally shut him down. He was like basically asking about like, oh, like, well, like what is your definition of what racism is? But if you talk about basically racism from sociology, it's basically them maintaining you know, like wealth and basically social status within this country. And when it comes to basically psychology, it's more about, you know, them basically, you know, their thoughts, their views, the way, you know, like their antagonistic behavior toward Black people. And so,
well, I mean, look here,
like,
if you want to just define racism, it's very simply defined: the systemic deprivation of resources and mistreatment of people based on race. Just that simple right there. The systemic deprivation of resources and mistreatment of other people based on race. You covered everything in just that sentence.
And some of the things I liked what you're saying about is like I said, like they created all these different basic social systems that are killing people, including their own people. Like you got basically communism, fascism, totalitarianism, imperialism. You got millions and millions of people who's basically being killed. And like I said, like all he tried to do is basically utilize his own type of opinion. And like you were saying basically yesterday, he basically tries to exclude, like if you try to say anything factual, he tries to exclude that. And my point is that a lot of time for our people, if we basically study and understand the nuances about different things too, people can't put us and back us into them corners at best too. And like I said, like when it comes to basically him and like you said, like about a turning point, they look at us. I forgot that woman's name. You had basically did a show about her, the one who basically came on that show about I think she had like the adopted daughter, and it shows them like white people bad. They look at us like we are the ones who are basically the ones who are not right, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's their position, is that we are defective white people. I'm sorry, that we're defective slaves. Let me say, their position with us, the Charlie Kirks, the white supremacists, their position is if we were in our right, and by the way, let's go back to slavery. People who did not want to be slaves were considered to be they labeled you as mentally disturbed, brain damaged. You know, you were crazy if you were a Black person who had a problem being enslaved. So by their sick reasoning, that's how they rationalized to themselves that it's all right to do it. Oh, there must be something wrong with you if you have a problem being a slave. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, you're a defective slave. Their base position is that we're all slaves, and that, oh, if you don't want to be a slave, oh, you're a defective one. Something wrong with you. Who wouldn't want to be a slave? You're a defective one. Oh, there's the only problem. The problem isn't that we're white supremacists. The problem is you're a defective slave. Oh, if you were in your right mind, then you would understand that all this is great for you. Slavery's great, Jim Crow's great, subjugation is your natural position. That's where you're supposed to be. What do you mean you have a problem with that? Something wrong with you. So just understand that that's the position that they come at it from. That position right there. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get back over here on Zoom and try another one here. Oh, before I do that, let me show you all something here. Let me show you all something here. When I posted up here before about this, see, white supremacists don't learn anything. You can't fabricate this stuff. They don't learn anything. They think that they're going to give us a photo op. Take a look at some of the simple-minded silliness that they tried to post there. When I said they're a white supremacist hate group, prove me wrong. Take a look at their proof. Here's the proof that they saw. Well, look, he had a whole phalanx of butt-kissing, boot-licking Negroes who are on the payroll. Okay, that doesn't count. Well, take a look at it. Gets worse. Well, look, we got Our pet Negro. All right. The Stephen A. Smith edge. What? All right, this little fella here got the Stephen A. And you can tell, okay, dude, your family's straight from Ethiopia. He looks like he got an him and her got Ethiopian barbers. Damn. Oh, man, look at this it looked like the Houston Astrodome. Damn. Oh, these hairlines look like the Houston Astrodome. Oh, man. You can see him. Daddy, daddy, daddy. Oh, boy. Yes, sir. These are the immigrants they love. These are the illegals that they actually like right here. So, photo op. Oh, take a look at this. This is supposed to be proof, people. This is supposed to be proof. Charlie Kirk posed with with his pet Negroes. See? He wasn't racist. He took a picture with his pet Negroes. This is 2025, people. This is literally supposed to be their, quote, proof. In 2025, they're not playing his words. They won't play his words. Notice that. They're doing everything except playing his words. Take a look at this picture and take a look at this post. What about his words? Just watch this picture. What about his words? This post. Take a look at these words. What about his words? I got another picture. So this was supposed to be their proof, people. Charlie with his favorite pet negress. Do you know how many white men have been next to Candace Owens? Pause! Damn! Do you know how many white men have been next to Candace Owens? Pause! Pause! And by the way, as men, we all know those eyes right there, so that's a body count. As men, we all recognize those eyes next to a female. I've taught y'all about that before. That's the yeah eyes. I'm like, okay, I recognize that one. I recognize that. Them eyes say body count. Those eyes say go ahead and marry your husband. Body count. Don't just tell him don't ask no questions when he goes to the altar. Just tell him don't ask anything. Y'all just go about your life, go about your business. But, all right. Yeah, boy. By the way, these are the Charlie Kirk supporters. These are the Charlie Kirk supporters right here, folks. No, Turning Point's not full of white supremacists and racists. These are the Charlie Kirk supporters right here. Yeah, there you are. Yeah, the Charlie Kirk supporters. That's them. That's right. There's yelling nigger and this, that, and the niggers and monkeys. These are the Charlie Kirk supporters. You can't be a member of Turning Point. You can't get along with them if you're not. You have to be. That's what you got to be. All right, let's go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom right quick. We got Malcolm up here on Zoom. All right, Malcolm, what's your position?
Oh, my position is against Turning Point. They have always proved themselves to be nothing but propagandist rhetoricians. Like for example, the 13% commits 50% of the crimes, and they kept on going over and over and over. And those stats are vintage stats, but they don't want to talk about the white on white crime in rural and suburban areas. They don't want to talk about that, and they don't want to talk about how most of those areas have unsolvable crimes. Like they don't want to go into that, but they'll solve all the crimes in the either poor or black areas. But then they want to talk about how most of the crime stats are based on arrest. They don't go into actual facts. So anybody believing that Turning Point is nothing but a factual, upstanding institution is either completely deluded or was only in there for personal gain. Only in there for personal gain.
Well, I mean,
Like,
but that's the way propaganda works. You sit up here and get false or cherry pick statistics that you skewed because you've left critical information out of it because it fits your agenda. The truth of the matter, in places like Texas, where they're supposed to be turning in those kind of stats and they don't. I've been talking about that literally for over half a decade. They're supposed to be turning in those stats, and it's not like it's federally required. So what you are getting are outrageously skewed numbers, and if you don't put that in its proper context, then you don't actually understand what the numbers really are. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of chicanery, and they know it. We're not breaking news. They're saying it because they know it. So then you have to go through this long explanation to debunk that, but he's not saying let's do an explanation of the legitimacy of it, make sure that we peer reviewed it and checked it for accuracy. And is there anything that skews these numbers? Because you're giving us a sentence. Does the data actually confirm your sentence, or are you just making up a sentence and saying, well, here's some corners of information that I say substantiates what I'm saying? And then that's all they're doing. That's what propaganda is.
Yeah, and that's what makes it even worse. Like if you really wanted to call Turning Point anything, it's a large scam network. And their core belief is hypocrisy and moral relativism. It has nothing to do with justice, nothing to do with fairness or equality or whatnot. Is if I can get you to believe my bullshit long enough, then maybe you can become useful to us. And that's why I don't understand how people can defend Turning Point USA. I don't care if they're black, white, or otherwise. Like when they say you just do the study, go and look at the study. You do that, and then you don't come back and say, "Hey, this is what I found." Then you're no more than a puppet than Charlie was.
No, it's a hate group. It's just like the Republican Party and the Democrats. It's a hate group masquerading as a nonprofit because it's the same old damn dog and pony show. They're not even smart enough or slick enough to be able to just say, we should cover this up better, because they can't. The goal is white supremacy. And when Charlie, I played that clip last night where Charlie Kirk was talking about he didn't believe in empathy. Now, what kind of human being goes around talking about they don't believe in empathy? But in any case, that was all very familiar, because when you just talked about moral relativism, that's a very good statement to make, because here you have a total immoral organization like the Nazis based on how immoral you can be. Because I remember when I talked to Richard Spencer directly, and he made a similar statement. Charlie Kirk prided himself on, I don't believe in empathy. Richard Spencer, I don't believe in fairness. Well, then if you don't believe in fairness, that means you don't believe in justice. Richard Spencer, I don't believe in fairness. I believe in power. I believe in dominance. Well, I'm like, well, hell, bring on Goebbels and Heinrich Himmler. You'll fit in just fine. And Charlie Kirk came from that school. I don't believe the things that make human beings decent and above the beasts of the field. He doesn't believe in any of those things.
And like the last thing I gotta say, because I wanted to say this last night, but I was out and I couldn't catch your broadcast. But the last thing is that white women said it. Dr. Chris Wilson said it. But if you really want to know what's on a white supremacist mind, or just a white male in general who believes in that stuff, it's always going to be the black male and what's between his joints and what's between his legs. Like, they have such a hard on every single time. Like you even said yesterday with the whole with Glenn Beck and Megyn Kelly. Like, your supposed friend just died, and you want to talk about black people.
Yeah, you've diverted the whole damn. He's over here. He done bled out and died. He's at the hospital dead, and you would know. They didn't. They were still talking about he might be alive even after they saw that. Yeah, you don't know he's dead because you two are sitting there changing the whole subject to talk about us, which shows you that we are the goal and the target at all times. It doesn't matter what's happening. You got some gray hairs on you, so you might have been alive when 9/11 happened. You might have been an adult.
I was in 10th grade.
Okay, well, you were old enough then. If you'll remember, they weren't even still worried about the Arabs. Okay, so the Saudi Arabia didn't come over here and drop 4 planes on you, and they were still, the dominant society was still first and foremost concerned. Yeah, clean up the rubble. Now, what we're going to do about them niggas? Okay, well, you got Armageddon happening over here, and you still worried about what you focused on. Yeah, we're going to do about y'all.
Shoot, side note with that, I found out that 9/11 did there was a movie about 9/11 and they did stolen valor because
Yeah.
they showed the Marine. I forgot that dude, that actor. He's a good actor, but he was playing the part of a Marine who was actually black.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
Shannon.
they had to come up with their own
I know they're
hero.
talking about Shannon. What's his name? Shannon. He played General Zod. Great actor and
Yeah.
everything. But yeah, and as a matter of fact, they talked about that years. If this is the same movie that I remember, they talked about that years ago and stuff. So they had talked about, oh, we didn't know who it was, and that's why they cast it like that. So because we didn't know who it was, by the time we did find out who it was later. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and my final point is like if you're a hardcore white supremacist, you know how they kept on screaming when BLM came out. They was like all lives matter. No, they don't. No, they don't. White supremacist cares more about black life than they care about white life. Why? Because you wouldn't talk about it as much. You wouldn't be looking at what we're doing as much. You wouldn't be trying to copy us as much. You wouldn't try to even steal our valor as much if you actually cared about your group. You don't. So if anyone's like, and they even argue about BLM, they really don't care about white life because if they would be focusing on try to better the infrastructure, try to better the education. But no, they have such a hard on for black people. You can only think that hardcore white supremacists believe black life has a higher value than they own. So I have to hate them.
Well,
Like,
the thing is, the reason why they are so vitriolic about 2020 is because to them, that was a national defeat. It was a national emasculation. When we had a national uprising over George Floyd's murder, that was the moment that all these trash talking white supremacists who have been talking about in LA, they were allegedly shooting at black folk in Hurricane Katrina. We were out there in the streets and everybody could get free smoke all day, every day. And they went in their homes and locked their doors and hid for 2 years. And they have never forgotten or lived down that defeat. And they are seething over it to this very day. They have been humiliated. They were embarrassed, and they've been angry and furious over it, which is why they keep bringing it up. And they keep coming back to it. BLM is simply a abbreviation for our biggest defeat. That's what they mean when they keep bringing it up. Because we're sitting here thinking about Black Lives Matter. When they say BLM, they specifically mean George Floyd. It's like, well, why do you keep coming back to that? Because we took to the streets and you all were supposed to show us what the Civil War is going to look like. And all these folks talking about this, like, I told you all that over a decade ago. They don't want it. They don't really want it. And if it ever came down to it, they're going to pack up and go home and talk about what they would do. But ain't nothing going to happen. 2020 came. We were out there in the streets. The Proud Boys were running all over the damn place. Was nobody talking about Civil War in 2020? And they know they are embarrassed about it because when they try to make that idle threat today, you can't make that idle threat today when in 2020 we saw what you would do. We've already seen what you would do. You're not going to do anything except talk big.
So yeah, but what I'm saying is like they keep screaming about replacement theory and all this other stuff that's supposed to rally them. And time after time, all they want to do is just talk about black people. And that's why I land my plane.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. And they can go sit on their ass about the Great Replacement too. If you are so worried about the Great Replacement, you know what you need to do. If you're so concerned about the Great Replacement, what you need to do is you need to go and get some of those old white men that financed Charlie Kirk. The old white men who financed him and their friends who work in agribusiness and the Koch brothers, you know, all these people who bringing over the illegals. And start talking about what you're going to do to mass arrest them. Now, that's what you would do if you were actually serious about it. If you're really concerned about it, well, then you would be talking about what you're going to do to go take action to mass arrest all the white men who own these businesses that are employing the illegals. Until then, you are not serious, you are a liar, and you're not going to be taken seriously. But that's because you'd have to go arrest P-Paw and Pop and your uncles. You'd have to go and arrest them. And that's what the real truth of it is. You'd have to go get them. Let's go ahead and see if we can get MB up here on Zoom here. All right, MB, what's on your mind?
Hey, big bro. Thanks for having me on, man. I guess I kind of want to build a question here. I've kind of had in my head because, like that one cool nigga you had on earlier, I've been hearing a whole bunch of these niggas, whether they're tethers from afar or homegrown tetherists here, from our neck of the woods. There's just a whole bunch of these niggas just wearing the cape for Kirk. And one thing I was thinking about was kind of thinking back to what's his name, Atwater, and the whole what was that, the Southern strategy thing about how you can't call them niggers out in the open. You got to be more subtle. You got to be more coded. Got to be more sly with it. So I guess my question is, with folks like this caping how Kirk isn't racist, he's such a good person. I guess how much of a success would you say, or lack of a better word, success would you say it is that you have, the Southern strategy from back in the day going on to today? You have, it has carried on their ideals to the point where you got so many of these niggas wearing a cape for him and everything, to where maybe some of these niggas are not so privy on what they really saying about us, but are they, like, I guess that's my question. How much has their, I guess, transformation into Kirk and the whole turning point thing, how much of them carrying the baton, so to speak, has they been doing for what has been a, I guess, way for them to carry their rhetoric against Black Americans and Black folks in general?
Well, the thing is, what you're noticing, what we're recognizing right now, is the result of the last 50 years of bringing in the buffer classes. And now their buffer classes that they've been grooming all this time, a lot of them have grown to maturity. Now they've deployed them. So the Coleman Cruzes, the Candace Owenses, the Stephen A. Smiths. This is why checking folks' background was so important. So now we realize this is what they've been importing. They've been importing a Trojan horse Negro class over here, with us saying, well, they black like us, like the old statement about, when the axe goes into the forest, the trees say he's one of us. Oh, look, the handle, he's one of us. So that's the whole point about it. Now what we're saying to them is that we recognize it. So that went bad for them. If we were still playing dumb, then that would be different. But we're not. So that shows the strategy has already gone bad. It's gone bad on two terms. Number one, we recognize coons from the beginning. And number two, like, by the way, we also recognize your buffer class strategy. So that whole thing broke down. The only problem is you have so many of them now. You have a large number of them, or a significant number of them. But their usefulness to the group as tokens, that's done. They're not useful anymore. You can't do it. It's over. And the reason why it's over is what I was saying there before. Nobody wants to be Candace Owens. Nobody wants to be Officer Tatum. Nobody wants to be the Jerkweed twins. Nobody wants to be them. It would be, you have not gotten to a point where Black folk want to be like them. The problem is not putting a bunch of coons in front of a bunch of white supremacists and getting applause. Your coons are worthless if they can't come over here. Remember what there was a whole reason why I played Nick Fuentes, because he proved to all of you and admitted exactly what I had been saying the entire time. He finally admitted it. Their goal, the whole purpose of allowing Candace Owens to even walk in their room without getting beaten with nightsticks, was that she was supposed to be delivering the Black vote. She was supposed to get Black folk to come to Turning Point and PragerU. She was supposed to be able to rally the masses, which is what all them Negroes promised them, from Roland Martin to Candace Owens. If y'all give me some money, I'll get Black folk to get on team white supremacy. That's what she promised. And Nick Fuentes said it. Your job was supposed to be, you were supposed to bring a bunch of Black folk to us. You couldn't do it. So the reason why Nick Fuentes is full Nazi white supremacist is because he's like, you can't get Black folk over here. They're not coming. They have too many people. They're not cut like these coons we imported from overseas. They're not cut like them. So they're never going to, no one's ever going to deliver them to us, because none of them are going to be, not enough of them are going to be coonish enough or blind enough to ignore white supremacy. So we might as well just give up on that and just go for the damn gusto and push for wholesale white supremacy, because the Black folk we're never going to have a plantation of coons. You're going to have a few privileged Negroes who are nothing but a drain on your pockets. You're paying them, and they're a drain on your pockets, but they're an investment that's never going to pay off. And that's why he just said, man, we might as well cut all of them. Cut them all. This plan isn't going to work. The Negro Whisperer ain't happening. Forget about it. And let's just switch to something else. So that's the reason why that mess doesn't work. So all they do is put up his pictures for the corporate networks. Well, we're not racist. Look, my little pet Negro's over here. What they can't do is send their pet Negro here to the masses and get them to come back with a bunch of us. It's failed. It's over. It's not on its way to being over. It's dead and gone as it always has been. And that's why they dumped them all overboard. And please remember, they did that before the 2024 election. Candace Owens was on the outs before then. That wasn't like it happened later. That was before then. They let you know, yeah, you're already done. And today, I challenge anybody to show me who is a significant black person that they're pushing now. They're not pushing anybody. That Candace never got replaced. Show me where Candace Owens' replacement is. They never replaced her. They just show a few of the other buck dancing coons, but they do not have a black token superstar now. They're not even trying to push one. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, and I mean, the best thing they can do now is, I guess, give viral trending to some folks that I see, that says the same thing about Kirk, favoritism, or, oh, he's not racist. So yeah, to your point, they're going to give him viral trends, but that's it. They're not going to push him, because what's that other dude, nigga Myron Gaines? He can, to your point, he been kicked out of white supremacist chat rooms when they're saying, "Get out of here, nigga. You're just like the rest of them. We don't want you here either."
Yeah, as soon as he tells them he's Sudanese, they're like, okay, enough of you. So there's only so much of you they can tolerate. Your job, they don't even want you over there by them. They want you over here trolling us and harassing us. You are never going to, you can be a token, but you're never going to be a leader. And they're waiting to get their promotion to leadership. And they're not going to get that. Never. But they're going to keep trying for it. But they're never going to get their promotion to leadership. It's not happening.
Word.
So they'll chase it, but it's not coming. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Let me see if we can get Tyron up here. Okay, Tyron, what's your position?
What's going on? My position is on debunking these conservatives. I went on one of these conservative channels, and they do not treat people like the same as Black Americans are handling this situation. They're sitting up here crying and putting on the cape for Charlie Kirk, when if it was in another scenario, if one of our speakers were unalived by a person within our community or something like that, they would not shed any tears. So I don't know why many of these Africans, heck, even Umar Johnson, is pathetically giving these people sympathy points when this was an in-house thing. And if anybody remembers, what's that case where that Ku Klux Klan member was unalived by his own wife? You got George Lincoln Rockwell, who was unalived by members in his own...
I love my people. I really, really do. Brothers and sisters from around the world, welcome to the Black Channel. We say killed over here. We say murdered over here. So the other YouTube channels that try to protect themselves, yeah, we ain't them. So just giving you a heads up.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, if y'all familiar with George Lincoln Rockwell, he was unalived by a Nazi Party member at a laundromat, if I'm not mistaken. And this whole thing that was revealed with Charlie Kirk, this was a follower of Nick Fuentes, a Groyper, and what's his name, Myron Gaines, who both criticized Charlie Kirk and Officer Tantrum over that Israeli stuff, because they're looking for sympathy points with the small hats, right? And so they sent over somebody to touch Nick Fuentes, no, not Fuentes, Charlie Kirk, because he agrees with small hats. And, half of the Nazi base, they're against Israel, right? So this whole thing is an in-house crime, white on white crime. They don't want to talk about their own issues within their own community. And they're trying to grift off into this thing in Charlotte, which is my own state, with the light rail incident. They forgot Jeremy Joseph Christian, who stabbed up 2 white men in Portland on the light rail there, just trying to defend some African women in hijabs. But these people will sit up here and cry for this white wing uneducated extremists.
Yeah, I mean, they think they're going to have some coordinated message of the day, and they're going to gin those kind of things up. And the real thing is, like I say, is wasted effort, to be totally honest, because at the end of the day, if you want to go tit for tat on that, you can. But the trying to find that there's some white victimhood or whatever the case may be, that's going to be a non-starter. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, he had the chicken wang in the hands there. Let me see if we can go ahead and get my man Digga Dan. Let me see if we can get Dan up here. By the way, some more Turning Point people. Hey, Turning Point. Just thought you ought to know the push is on here. You're a white supremacist hate group. Well, you should be taking an opportunity to prove us wrong. Very clearly, it's not going very well. All right, Dan, we got you up here on Zoom. What's on your mind?
Oh, well, let me, I meant to call yesterday. I was a little busy yesterday, so I made the opportunity to call today. It's a lot of things that you broke down that I did not know. You know what I'm saying? So far as exposing the in group of what's going on, but you got more into depth with it, which is I kind of knew that a lot of them is funny style anyway. And of course, we all know they white supremacists, so it is what it is with that. But it's another thing. But I want to bring up something too that was, I think it really caught my attention. You said that Charlie Kirk's mother was a trader in Chicago.
Yeah, she worked for the Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
Now, you know what's funny about that? Because yesterday, when I was out, it was a lot of conversations about that, and some of the guys who I was with, some of them worked in some of these outside of city of Chicago, like working jobs and stuff like that. I did not know that Charlie Kirk's child home, one of his child homes, was out here at Alton Heights. I didn't know that until one of my guys was telling me, like, he used to work a job out there and stuff like that, and some of his white coworkers, they was part of that Turning Point USA or some of these little small conservative groups and stuff like that. And he talked about how racist as hell they was and stuff like that. Or a lot of them is on the Sugar Cookie Act. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of figured that because a lot of these other white, a lot of those groups and the left.
Peter Thiel and Jeffrey Epstein are not the only ones. Far from it. And
a lot of them, and let's be clear.
And they would have you believe that's a left wing thing. I'm gonna interrupt you. They would have you believe that's a left wing thing, by the way. And in reality, yeah, you want to talk about on the right, Peter Thiel, Jeffrey Epstein. That's far from the exception. Go ahead.
Yeah. And let's be real. Now, I used to move around to some of these outside the suburb when it came to some business, and oh boy, they real heavy on the getting high. I will tell you that much. They are very heavy on the getting high. And now one more thing, because I don't want to hold you up for long. I had checked a lot of black folks, on my social media. Some of them was they foundationals. We know most of them is tethers. This whole thing that whatever the white media tells you to give sympathy for somebody or empathy for somebody from another culture, but your black ass won't have no sympathy if somebody blue. You ain't had the same sympathy when it's one of your own. You know what I'm saying? So this whole manipulation that we supposed to feel sorry for another group, and a lot of y'all claim that y'all know who this Charlie Kirk dude was, and it's plenty of snippet of videos of him saying that, hey, he cool with you and the women and children getting black women and children getting shot unharmed in the back, but all of a sudden, well, I have sympathy because I don't wish ill on the dead. I said, no, I ain't wishing ill on the dead. I said, listen, you give out the same. Hey, listen, you give out a certain energy, that energy gonna give out the same thing towards you. So
Charlie Kirk spent plenty of time wishing ill on the dead. He spent plenty of time talking ill of the dead. I sat there last night and showed all the examples of it. He did plenty of that. So we're supposed to do opposite of it. I'm like, no. I'm following his example. I'm following Charlie Kirk's example. He bragged that he didn't believe in empathy. He bragged that he had no respect for it. He bragged that he was disrespecting as many dead black folk as he could. Okay, I'm going to follow his example. You're not going to tell me to treat him differently than he treated other people. I'm going to treat him the same way he treated other dead folk. I'm going to follow his example. This is how he treated other dead people as they weren't even in the ground. This was the way he treated them. So you should demand that people treat Charlie with the same level of respect that he gave others. No more, no less. Okay, and this is the level of respect that he gave the dead. And any jackass who thinks he's going to pull a North Korea and he's going to demand us, y'all going to treat him the way we say, you better kiss both my black asses cheeks. And I don't want anybody out there. This is the time to show them that you're going to rebel against that. You can get another job. Don't let somebody sit here and try to play no economic terrorism. You can get another job. But you don't let them tell you what you can say and what you can think when they did not demand that of Charlie the bigot Kirk. What you demanded of him is all you will demand of us. If he could be as free as he wished to be, then we will do the same. He is being given the level of courtesy with which he lived. If you don't like what you're hearing, why did you not say something when he was alive? Oh, you're white supremacist too. Okay, well, now you will suffer by seeing that in your time of anguish, he's being treated the way he treated others. If it's ugly to you, then you should have told him to live a better life. All right, we got Tyler over here on Zoom. Tyler, what's on your mind?
What's going on tonight, brother Jason? Well, we got a couple things. They're hiding the image for your video right now on desktop and mobile devices. So,
I think it's got a bit of a cropping issue with it, but that's okay.
Okay, yes.
Well,
yes.
I'm going to see if I can get that fixed.
No, absolutely. I think it's a censorship thing, but absolutely. For 9/11, I remember coming to school. I was late that day. A lot of the situation, the fact that a white person took on a white person and they're coming after black people reminds me of the draft riots. So the Irish were mad that the blacks didn't have to participate in the Civil War. And so them having to fight in a white war for white issues led to them hanging black people, right? So it always comes back to us. This guy right here, Charlie Kirk, he's a big part of this whole rewriting history movement that I picked up on. So I was watching a couple of like AI documentaries on bank heists, right? They were kind of cool. The one in Hollywood, 20 years ago, something like that. Then I started to come across the ones I think they really were getting at. They would retell the story of Trayvon Martin with their own new animation, right? And they have this there's some called the Trayvon hoax where they go all the way left.
Candace Owens and stuff. That was something that they jumped on years ago, trying to fabricate that. So yeah, these were a bunch of shameless, really degenerate lowlives, and they were doing that very, very quickly there. So yeah, there was that, and that's why I bring up PragerU, because folks want to make animations, things that they think will be easily transportable on the internet, stuff like that, or would be easy for folks to pass around. So when PragerU makes a cartoon telling you how great slavery was, yeah, they're trying new tactics.
No, absolutely. The same thing for George Floyd. They went as far back as OJ. So you've got 20, 30-year-olds today retelling the OJ story from when they were 6, 7 years old for this new generation. So Charlie Kirk was part of a much bigger movement. He seemed like, in all honesty, I didn't understand as time went on, the more that they put into this guy's passing, which I understand everybody passes, I get it. I'm starting to see he was an important figure in the white power movement. I mean, a big pivotal figure.
He was a big investment. He was their investment in the future. I talked about this last night. Charlie Kirk was a Silicon Valley startup for white supremacy. So it basically was a business model. Let me explain to you what I mean. Professor Scott Galloway talked about this, how most entrepreneurs, myself included, will have the idea of taking a business and building it up in year over year, getting, 5 to 10% growth year over year. And he said that he got was really smart Silicon Valley people, and they told him, Scott, you're smart, but you're doing this wrong. What you want to do is inject a bunch of money at the beginning, which really means going into debt, but put a bunch of money in at the beginning, rack up a lot of debt, but you'll be more special and you're going to grow at 50% or 100% year over year. And that's the strategy you should use. Turning Point USA did not begin with $1 or $2 million. That's not what happened. They needed folks with really, really deep pockets. So you just come in the door with tens of millions of dollars. So you're not starting on the ground floor. You're starting on the 100th floor. And that's the whole point. When Facebook started, it wasn't a small business that had to scale up to a large one. When folk give you $200 million to start, you're already a major employer. You're already a major business. So that was the whole business strategy behind it. Give us really deep pockets, because white supremacy is generational wealth, and give us a very large moat of capital to begin with. And then we start from the 50th floor, not from the ground floor. And that's what it is. That's what it always was. Daily Wire, same thing. You go with all these other folks, Steven Crowder, same thing. None of these people built anything from the ground up. All of them got in with rich white investors, or should I say white donors, because they're not investors. These are nonprofits. They're not investors. These are white folk they're elderly now. They're sitting on a few $1 billion, but before they leave this world, they want to solidify white supremacy for the next generation. And you can't take the money with you. So it's like Brewster's Millions. They're finding they've changed from finding white businesses to invest in over here as a hedge fund or something. Let's find some young white men, and instead of making them wait years to build up, let's go ahead and give them a major company now. Let's just start them with major funding now. And that way they don't even hit the ground running. They're already flying. That's the strategy.
Jason, they're already tripping over their feet. The fact that they would focus on Charlie Kirk when those white kids in Colorado got shot, he said, Trump said, I'm personally going to Charlie Kirk's funeral. He didn't say a damn thing about the funeral of the white kids. How can white supremacy survive if it's got these conflicting prerogatives that they constantly keep? How are you going to get white women when you're throwing the white kids under the bus right now?
Yeah, there's the whole problem is that white supremacy today is this hazing ritual. And what they're trying, everything is about beating people in submission and bludgeoning them and whatnot, and just getting them to be beat down and go along with the program. But as you stated, there are at this point now, it's not just black folk anymore. There are too many white people who don't fit in with, quote, the program. They're not going to be beneficiaries of it, so they're not going along with it. So now it's not just about you got to fight with the non-white people. It's in white society too. They got an issue with it too, as evidenced by who was it who clipped him. So yeah, and they understand that. And they don't know what to do, brother. They have a goal, but they don't actually know how to get there. They're operating under the mistaken, foolish notion that Twitter views and Instagram subscribers equals political capital. And that's not really the way it works. It helps to a degree. Donald Trump is not in the White House because Charlie Kirk got young people to like him. Donald Trump's in the White House because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris messed up so historically badly. That's the reason. And they have deliberately, over there in the racist right, misinterpreted all this because they so desperately want to believe that everybody really in their heart of hearts wants white supremacy. When I talked to Jared Taylor, remember, that's what he said. In reality, black folk don't really want to run things. They want white folk to run it. And they really, that's why they want us to stay around, because they really want us to run it so they can get the benefits from it. But they really want us to run things. Like, no, actually, that's not, we're not looking for a white overseer, but they want to believe it. Because otherwise, the reality is we're not going to allow this system, this wicked system, to keep existing, and they need it. the Charlie Kirks needed. What was he going to do without it? He couldn't even get into West Point. He couldn't even get into West Point. If he tried to get in today, he still couldn't have made it. They need a system that will give them those kind of things. And now it's just about preserving that. But it comes at so many other people's expense that they're not going along with it. And white women are like, yeah, we're not really interested in that either, because we feel like we should get a higher ratio of benefits. And these guys are talking about your benefit will be in the kitchen. And that works for them when they get in their 40s and 50s, but that does not work for white females in their 20s. That doesn't work for them.
Jason, he was boots on the ground, in my opinion, because I saw something where I thought he was just doing the colleges. He was hitting up high schools, and you saw early on with Rick DeSantis, the right was trying their best to get into schools and stop what they call critical race theory. It's just critical truth theory. You're just telling what actually happened, right? They don't mind when it comes to the Jewish Holocaust. Let's get into the gritty details. Gas chamber for kids, younger than 6th grade. But when it comes to slavery, we don't even talk about a whip. It's more like they were just, these type of workers. So I think that's one of the reasons why he was so pivotal, is he was a private interest that was willing to be boots on the ground in these battle zones, which is high school and the colleges. So I definitely think he was boots on the ground. I'll close with this, Jason. One of the things that, Charlie Kirk and other, lunatic people on the right are advocating is you weren't a slave and I wasn't a slave owner. All of my assets, everyone knows they're going to my kids. Everyone's assets always goes to their kids. In fact, it goes to your kids by default. So the fact that they're trying to say that robbing people at any point in time doesn't cause some type of reverberation in the future, nonsense. I wish more people would call on to prove you wrong, but Jason, you scared them all the way. That's because you are the master teacher, and you are the authority. Be one, brother Jason.
Thank you for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Yeah, y'all, turning point is the white supremacists and white supremacists in government. They got them in colleges. They got them groups in high schools. And this is why we really have to have a big movement about this turning point thing. If we had a black legal class, we already would have sued them out of these places already. But you all need to be watching to see if you got turning point groups at your kids' schools. If you have turning point groups at your kids' schools or at your high schools, forget a damn debate. These are white supremacist hate groups. Go after their leaders. Show Charlie Kirk's words and what he advocated for. These are white supremacist hate groups. Turning Point is a white supremacist hate group, and you're not supposed to have the Ku Klux Klan in your high schools. So you all need to be talking, especially in places like Florida, Tennessee, Texas. You are supposed to be very active. We got a bunch of y'all got kids in school, and you worry about to turn up. Meanwhile, the white supremacists have set up next to your kid's classroom like it's 4-H or the Boy Scouts. Those of you with kids in school, and I'm talking about high school or college, it's the time to be pushing back on that. You don't give any quarter. These are a white supremacist hate group. And it needs to be treated that way. And everyone needs to be sounding the alarm if you got one in there. All right, John, you gave us a call last night, but you know what, John? I have a 1 call per weekend policy. However, in your case, I'm going to extend some white privilege. What? I'm going to extend some white privilege to John tonight, y'all. I'm letting him call in for a second time. What's on your mind, John?
You want to do a fun little exercise? How about this? We'll do, I'll play the role of the guy saying that it's not a hate group, and then you can, argue with me. That's kind of fun, right? So I think a lot of people would look at him and say, he's not a hate, or Turning Point USA is not a hate group, because they're just protecting the interests of white people, because the cultural Marxist theories infiltrating the minds of, the youth, pushed on them by the liberal class, is damaging to white people, and it's threatening to white people. right?
And that's one of their rationales.
Right. So if that's the issue, and they're truly concerned about that, and they truly feel threatened, why do they not have a right to speak out against it?
Well, certainly they have been doing that. Here's the issue. Turning Point strategy is silencing other people. So it would be different. They don't actually believe in free and open discussion or anything. Remember, Turning Points has a list of if your professor or your teacher is, I forget the exact name of that list, but if they're too liberal or if they support LGBT or if they're too woke, they have a list that they go around harassing people with and try to get people fired from universities and whatnot. So they have a list of, if your professor is on their list, then they go around trying to harass them and try to get them to lose their jobs. So they've never been about that. So this free speech thing, no, that's a lie. They say that, but then on the back end, it's like, by the way, don't look at this other stuff we're doing. They're not a debate.
But
Charlie Kirk puts up those
culture,
videos,
right?
but he's not a debate club. He really isn't.
No, I know. But so to my retort to what you just said would be, but cancel culture, right? Where people not on the right being pursued in the same way, losing their jobs and all that kind of stuff, or comments they had made online, or issues like that. I mean, this would be the argument on the other side, right?
Right. Well, I'm not a proponent of cancel culture necessarily. However, the thing would be, what would they be canceled for?
I don't know. Just any
because there's the thing right there is
that
the thing is what I know when they invoke that phrase and claim that there's some jihad about it and whatnot. I'm like, okay. By the same token, that's been happening. For example, for us as black folk, that's been happening to us the entire time. We've always been last hired, first fired. You can be fired for just anything. So, and really, I don't think I really saw anybody that had anything that was, not especially egregious in that regard. So it'd be different if it was just like really something just really minor, dismissive. I think what really happens is what they were really complaining about is they have preferred positions about things. And if they didn't get their preference, then that would be an issue. But to the extent that, like I say, I would want somebody to give me an example of somebody who quote unquote was canceled and it wasn't something that violated some sort of terms or something. Now, yeah, there were people who may have had issues because they offended somebody about something. Okay, that's one thing. But even at that, I would say, okay, what was that about exactly? Was this I don't care what folks think, an Archie Bunker type thing? Or is this a legitimate, if we're being analytical or objective? Because that would be the thing I would be looking for. If somebody's being objective, maybe that's one thing. The other thing is, by the way, take a look at what you're seeing here now. If these guys really didn't believe in that, then what in the world are we seeing now? So let's just say that they were right about that. The cancel culture is sitting around here, and if you're conservative and stuff, they're doing this, that, and the other. And I'm not saying there wasn't, like, for example, I think the bigger issue was the algorithms of social media. Now, very clearly there was something going on there. Absolutely. But the social media sites run themselves the way Fox News does. All right, but even if everything that they say is absolutely correct, and there was some jihad against them, and we're canceling anybody who's to the left of Ronald Reagan, okay, even if that's 100% accurate, what are they doing now? Because if that's not a core principle, what are they doing now? Is their issue that folks were getting canceled, or is their issue that they were not the ones doing the canceling?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but I think another interesting point that the guy before me brought up was that, how are they going to keep this cycle of white supremacy going if, someone like Donald Trump isn't even going to the funerals of white kids who were killed in that school shooting?
They're the undesirables.
Well, that, and also I think that they don't matter as much, right? Because they're not what's going to keep it going. Someone who's a symbol is going to keep it going, and those kids are not a symbol, right?
And that's a bigger issue when you think about it, because if literally everything is judged by its ability to be capitalized on. And remember, the day that he got shot, I posted this on my Twitter page. The day that Charlie Kirk got shot, he was talking about we must politicize the killing of the young woman on the bus in Charlotte. We must politicize that because politics is what got her killed. I mean, do you hear that? I mean, if one of your family members got killed or one of mine, last thing I want is somebody talking about we need to politicize it. Really? We haven't even buried her yet. This is a person, not a political agenda. But in their world, they have become so craven, so desperate. Nothing is sacred, man. Nothing is sacred, not even your dead kids.
Well, yeah. And for him to, like your guest was saying, like, go to a funeral of kids who were killed in a mass shooting, right? That's basically a third rail for, part of the white supremacist culture that espouses, I guess you could call Second Amendment rights issues, right? Because it's a way for them to hold on to power. So if you start questioning that and start bringing light to that, it kind of damages your own message.
And when you start saying that they're expendables, that's what you're really saying, is that there are some people who are expendable. Even if they're white, nobody's safe. Like, so everybody is going to be judged by their ability to be, how well can we use you for quote unquote the cause? Folks need to think long and hard about whether or not they really want to keep empowering that, because that's a caste system right there. You're going to be judged based on your ability. How can we leverage you for the cause?
Right. Support the troops.
Okay, folks, better decide whether or not that's what they really want to be, because Charlie Kirk did not really believe that he was going to one day have to put up or shut up. And it's like, by the way, the next dead person we'll be trying to politicize is you. If he had known that, I wonder if he would still keep pushing for it.
Probably. Fanatics often do.
People keep signing up for things that I don't think they really want. I really don't.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Here on your screen, by the way, for anybody questioning it, just in case, because I know there's some of you alt-right people out there and whatnot who's saying, Charlie didn't really say that. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He sure did. By the way, September 10th, as I said, he posted this really on his way out the door. He posted this pretty much practically on his way out the door to go do his event. This was what he posted literally on his way out the door to that event. That it's 100% necessary to politicize the murder of a young female. And he was on his way to be the next person whose death people would see to politicize, to the point that the folks who were there talking about him wouldn't even speak about him. They were back to talking about the incident he was talking about here. They wouldn't even talk about him. Megyn Kelly and Glenn Beck and the rest of those white supremacists wouldn't even stay talking about him as he bled out and died. They still wouldn't keep the conversation fully focused on him. They had so many politicized balls they were juggling that they wouldn't even focus on their dead so-called friend. And what it leads you to believe is none of these people are friends. They're all just allies in the army of white supremacy, the movement of white supremacy. They're not friends. They're just allies in the movement. Let me go see if we can get Big Bad Mo up here on Zoom. Big Bad Mo, let's see if we can get you up here. Hopefully they're not on Zimbabwe broadband. All right, Big Bad Mo, we'll give you a couple of moments here. Let's make sure we got that together. Okay, Big Bad Mo is not there. Let me see if I can get Omari here. I don't think I talked to Omari last night. Okay, Omari, what's on your mind?
Hey, Brother Jason, B1, thank you for the great program, the great broadcast. I actually called last week, but I was cut off. You accidentally cut me off, and you gave your apologies, and I appreciate that. in that spirit, if you would just permit me a little bit of time to ask you one question and to really, and then to set up a
Well, give us the Reader's
proposition.
Digest version, brother. We got folks on here.
Gotcha. So the question, what happened to this devil may care, or Viva la Revolucion energy that was with Luigi Mangione when he blew away that insurance agents? Like, wasn't it pretty much a bipartisan celebration, including a lot of MAGA people who eventually came out and, in sort of a blue collar showcase of solidarity, were like, yeah, that's right, free Luigi, free Luigi. How can these people reconcile the Charlie Kirk murder with that, with the murder that they were championing an execution just a couple of months ago?
Yeah,
And
what they're finding is that they're not able to do that because remember, Ben Shapiro was defending the corporations as he always would, and white corporate power, but his listeners and followers were against it. They were supporting Luigi Mangione because Ben Shapiro might have access to millions and millions of dollars, and Matt Walsh might have access to millions of dollars, and Tim Pool might have access to millions of dollars, and he's not struggling, but these white millennials are. The white millennials in their audience and in their listenership, they are struggling. They don't have access to those millions of dollars that their online YouTubers are clicked up with and plugged into. So they saw that situation totally differently. Having healthcare insurance might not, top flight healthcare insurance might not be a struggle for Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh, but it is for a lot of their listeners. And in the class struggle, which is for them at least is a class struggle within their society, yeah, they're not on the winning side of it. So they sided with Mangione. It's like, yeah, these dudes, we're working to enrich a bunch of other folks over here, and it's not doing nothing for us. So that causes a schism. Charlie Kirk was trying to hold the line, but remember what I said before. The younger ones from his generation, the millennials and Gen X and Alpha and whatnot, they're on the side of the Gazans and against the Israeli government. So Charlie Kirk in his last days was being more critical of Israel. What? After all those years about it, they have a right to do this, that, and the other to the Gazans, and go take a look at the interview with Megyn Kelly in the last couple of weeks before he died. His listenership and viewer base was letting him know, yeah, we don't care what you're saying. We're on a different track over here. And as a result, he started having to change his position. So yes, this is not the old right-wing conservative Reaganites and whatnot based in Billy Graham Christianity and whatnot. You got a newer folk out here and they have different ideologies and they will not be moved because they have other people they can listen to. Charlie was not the only one they were listening to. So yeah, the great thing about the internet is the bad thing about the internet is there's so many people, but the good thing about it is there's so many people. They don't just listen to one person. Charlie is one person among many that they listen to. One among many. And when they finished listening to this idea that they were all just devotees of his and every word that came out of his mouth, they were just hooking onto it. That's what the media in their oversimplification wishes to believe because they're all dunces and can't be bothered to analyze this deeply. In reality, his audience was these young folk today. They have more split and segmented views on these things. They're not monolithic. They're not. The media wishes they were. They're not. Charlie wished they were. They're not. His backers wish they were, but they're really not. So they can agree on certain things with you and also agree that we're also the have-nots. And Luigi Mangione represented the have-nots. To the young folk today, that was a perfect example of the haves versus the have-nots. And Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro.
Isn't Kirk himself a member of the haves?
Yeah.
Can't they see that?
Yes, and that's the whole point. Remember, I taught you all this before about Karl Rove in Texas. The whole strategy was to get you, because Texas is actually a Democrat stronghold, but what the Republicans and Karl Rove have done is get people to think like Democrats, but vote like Republicans. Everybody's been trying to figure out how to put their own twist on that strategy. So they want you to think like a have-not, but to vote and operate like you're one of the haves, like you are one of the temporarily embarrassed millionaires, and that if you just back all these other millionaires and billionaires, eventually you're going to get your shot by virtue of the fact that you're backing them. And the truth of the matter is the young folk today are not buying into it. The reason why so many of them are, quote unquote, investing in experiences, it's not because they, quote, love experiences, because they can't buy the things. They can't afford the cars. The cars have gone from an average median price of $23,000 to $50,000. That used to be luxury car territory. That's now entry level territory for cars. House out of the question altogether. So when you have the situation becoming that dire, you can't get them to think like haves. You can't get them to do it because everything around them is a have not. So you haven't opened the door to get them to fool themselves enough.
So my last point, Jason, and this goes back to your discussion last week, and it's not off topic, but you were talking about the immigrants and how the Asians are getting their wake-up call. I just want to put this message out there, especially for the melanated family, the diaspora. Just pay attention to what is going on, like the signs, the delineation has happened. Foundational Black Americans are here. We are going to get our tangibles. We're going to get our reparations. Get on the right side of history. What happened to Charlie Kirk is just one instance. Jason Black was talking about the immigrants getting theirs from East Asia. Jason, I'm sure you've heard of that incident where there was a truck driver who made an illegal U-turn in Florida. That he killed 3 people. The 3 people that he killed turned out to be Haitian immigrants. So you have an Indian immigrant who entered the country illegally, and he ends up wiping out an Haitian immigrant who probably fled Haiti just thinking that, that's it. I made it. I figured it out. And this is all connected. I'm telling you, family. So to all the melanated people who are still on the fence about joining the FBA, the B1 Brigade, look at what is happening. This is not a coincidence. These are the ancestors at work. From Charlie Kirk to this truck driver in Florida who took out the Haitian brother. It's all connected. We're getting what's due us, and you could be on the right side of history or the wrong side of history. And with that, B1 brother Jason, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I got constructive action up here on Zoom. Constructive action. I'm pretty sure I spoke with you here last night, brother. Folks, and just remind you all, I got a 1 call policy per weekend, unless you're a Turning Point supporter, in which case we got something different.
No, I'm not a supporter, but I wanted to I wanted to continue our dialogue from last night because I agree with what you're saying.
Okay, brother. Well, I got 1 call per weekend, so thank you very much for giving us a call, folks. I got 1 call per weekend here, so please keep that in mind. There are lessons to be learned here, and I want us to understand something. I do not want this conversation to stop here because, you see, their figurehead may be gone. Their figurehead may be gone, but remember, the figurehead was simply a focus for capital, a focus to employ or deploy capital to. They're going to come back with somebody else. The money is going to try to find somewhere else to land. Please keep that in mind. The money is going to try to find another place to land. The investment in what they've built in Turning Point, they're going to try to keep that relevant and try to keep that active. That their whole goal was to create like a 4-H or a Boy Scouts for white supremacist thought. So they're going to be desperately looking for the next one. They'll be desperately looking for the next one. In the chat room, Pinscar Doe, so glad you said that right there. You need to go ahead and give us a call up on Zoom here. So mods, let's go ahead and get Pinscar Doe up here. So glad you said that. So glad you said that right here. So we're going to go ahead and get you to call us up on Zoom. You can go ahead and explain that to everyone. He's got 2 minutes. So let's go ahead and get him on up here. Since he's got so much to say, so glad to hear that. Let him know he's got 2 minutes to go ahead and be on Zoom. The link is at the top of the chat room. You can sit back, smile, and dial. Go ahead and click in, check in, log in, and we will be very, very pleased to have that discussion with you. We'll be very pleased to have that discussion with you. Folks, you got to understand something here. It's a game of inches. It's a game of inches. The reason why the murder of our black icons was so essential is not not so much because of having a leader, but because of having a place and a focal point that directs the national conversation and directs the narrative. Do you know how hard it is to find somebody that people rally behind? Do you know how hard that is? Do you know how hard it is to find somebody that people rally behind? So when you actually can find somebody, at least who has the appearance that people are rallying behind them, you got to hold on to that. You don't just find that every day. So now that they don't have that, they've taken a major, major hit, because now there's a scramble, and there may be other people who want his position, but are they actually able to carry the ball? Can they actually do it? And that's a major problem. That's a major problem for them. Whether he was a incapable, incompetent vessel or not, he was one that was kind of working. Now they're going to have to start over from zero. See, that's the whole reason for murdering people. The whole reason for murdering people is because it starts them over from zero. In the chat room, there will be no more comments. You have another minute to be on Zoom, sir. You are not in the chat room to speak. As I said from the beginning of the program, you know the rules. You know the rules. If you wish to dissent or disagree, that's what the Zoom link is for, not the chat room. Hit the Zoom link, you move to the front of the line. You have to hit the Zoom link and you will be moved to the front of the line. If you don't, you ain't got nothing to say. If you are too afraid or too scared or too incapable of articulating it in front of everybody else, you ain't got nothing to say. And please understand, folks, this is the sign of a defeated movement. This is the sign of a defeated movement right there. Neither they nor their acolytes are capable of perpetuating it. Candace Owens can't do it. They are fractured over there on the racist right. They're going at each other. And by the way, if you think that Charlie Kirk's death is going to unite them, you're out of your minds. Charlie Kirk's death is not going to unite them. Why? Because half of them didn't like him in the first place. They didn't like him in the first place. They're going to step over his dead body, and they're going to see how many shekels they can scoop off the ground for themselves. Remember, these are Darwinian peoples. So much for being Christian. These are Darwinists. They step over your dead body. Only the strong survive, and only the very strongest rule. And they're stepping over his dead body and saying, oh, well, he's no longer here. The strongest need to pick up what he got, whatever he dropped. I can use it. And that's where they are today. So they're all, what happens this week, I need you all to understand something. Let me explain to you how this works. Turning Point, it's essentially over for them. What? It's essentially over. It's essentially over for Turning Point. They don't have anybody to put in his position, and they can't wait around years. So they don't have a spokesperson anymore. So essentially for Turning Point, it is over. Well, Jason, what happens next? Last week was the mega incident. This week is consolidation. Let me explain to you how this works psychologically. This week is consolidation. This week, they're all going to try to figure out what the prevailing philosophy will be going forward. In other words, what they're going to start fighting over now is who will be the anointed. That's what they're going to do now. You see, here's the problem with trying to deify somebody and turn someone into a martyr and make the movement into some quasi-religious movement. Now begins the fight over who is the anointed. Who will be the one blessed to move the movement forward that the rest of you will have to consolidate behind. No, it won't be Ben Shapiro. They already hate him. He has too many enemies. You witness this happen in religions. You witness this happen in political movements. You witness this happen in social movements. So now the fight will be over who will be the blessed, who will be the anointed that everyone's going to gather and rally behind. And understand, everyone's going to be fighting with each other to delegitimize the others. First, they'll do it behind the scenes, even using Charlie's death and say, by the way, Charlie didn't even like you. You didn't even like Charlie. Reconciliation won't matter. They're all going to go at each other hammer and tong. So now the fight will be over who will be delegitimized. Mark my words, that's what happens starting this week. Last week was the incident. This week will be who gets to seize control of the throne. Starting with who gets to decide what direction we go in from here. Who is legitimate? Because everyone's going to want to put on Charlie's cloak now. So now the fight will be over who is the legitimate. They started last week, people. Everybody posting their pictures with him. Charlie was a great friend of mine. He was my good buddy, and we all loved Charlie. So they started it last week. You all need to rally behind me. I was his second in command. I was his confidant. I was the one he truly confided in. We were bosom buddies while I was on the phone with him right before he got shot. He was my brother. And all of you, if you love Charlie, you must rally behind me. It's what Charlie would want. That's where it starts. That's what happens this week. The weekend has happened. Everybody's had to stop. They'll probably have a funeral service for him, and everyone's going to start fighting over who is the legitimate. We haven't gotten to the point of who rules yet, just who is the legitimate spokesperson now that everyone should rally behind. Who is the legitimate heir to the throne, like a monarchy? Who's the legitimate leader of the movement now? The old cats can't get in it, so Glenn Beck and the rest of them, all y'all old cats can't get into it. The millennials will be trying to disinherit and delegitimize Gen X. So Candace Owens, not really going to work for you. Well, she says she's a millennial. They're going to make her an honorary Gen Xer. So they're going to be here trying to delegitimize people and push people out based on their age, their class. Oh, you were too liberal. You're now come all the litmus tests. So the next week is going to be a vicious feeding frenzy. First, undercover, they're going to be doing it on the key behind the scenes, murmuring behind each other's backs. And then the week after that, as I told you all, 2 weeks, Charlie will not even be a hashtag anymore. It will be a full-blown fight over I'm the leader. And these other people are not legitimate. See, you can't wait on that, people. You can't be nice about that. You can't wait on that. If you're going to delegitimize these other people, you got to do it now. You can't wait for the movement to get even more fractured and for somebody to take 20% and another person take 15% and another person takes 20%. You got to knock off your competition now. You have to delegitimize your competition now. You can't wait 2 weeks to do it. If you're going to do it, you got to do it while the blood is still fresh on the ground. You have to do it here. Yes, it is unseemly and classless and it looks very, very tacky, but you're gonna have to do it. Tasteless as it might be, you're gonna have to do it. So if you all want to preview what's happening next week, starting this week, I'm telling you what's about to happen next. Now they're all going to be talking about whose philosophy is most in line with Charlie's and who is the legitimate person that people should rally behind. Nobody's going to say you all need to rally behind me. They're going to start by delegitimizing the others, by delegitimizing everybody else. Well, the only person you haven't delegitimized is yourself. Oh, well, I guess you're the only one we can get behind. Yes, Game of Thrones. You're going to be seeing Game of Thrones happen and unfold in real time, but it'll take a little bit there. But that's what's going to start happening this week, is the delegitimization of others so they can truly slug it out over who will be the anointed and who will be the legitimate heir to the throne. That's what they're going to do now. All right, we got Jonathan up here on Zoom. At least I think I do. All right, Jonathan, you're on Zoom. What's on your mind?
Hold up.
Okay.
Okay, all right, got my audio on.
All right.
I just wanted to answer the big question of the show is like, yeah, definitely for 100% that Turning Point USA is a racist hate organization. I mean, I think they pretty much said it like from the outset, so you got to take them at their word on that. I mean, as far as Charlie Kirk himself goes, though, I feel like the man was more just like a how you want to say, like a news anchor type, one of those opinion journalist types. Like he was definitely the how you want to call it, the media arm of the right-wing movement, of the racist right-wing movement, and that very heavy Christian nationalism movement. So he, that's what he did. That was his role in that. And I think if you're going to watch, like what you were saying earlier is about the fight for the replacement. I think you'll see that. I don't think Turning Point as an organization is going to be around much longer, like you said, but I think it's kind of like CNN getting replaced by MSNBC. Somebody else is going to come up and fill that role for them. And so
I don't see Turning Point being able to pull a Church of Scientology when David Miscavige took over after L. Ron Hubbard. I don't see them being able to do that. As far as your first statement there, you're correct, but there's also a distinction that needs to be made. Because in the television anchor world of news, network news, cable television news, you get fed a script and things like that. Charlie Kirk was different. And take it from me, I'm on the internet. I've been doing this going on 2 decades. This is a different beast over here. The reason why most of the network television people can't make it when they come over here is because the difference between us and them is you have to have an air of authenticity. On television, those people look hella fake, hella phony. They get told what they can say and what they can't say. When you come over here, that turns everybody off. That's why both Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson, when they came over here, they both had to change the way they did things. So all of a sudden, they're not these staunch supporters of Israel like that. So the stuff that was just the writ large as the hardcore religion on Fox News, there's all these ex-Fox News personalities who've been banned to the internet. To make it over here, they can't do any of that over here. That's disingenuous. Yeah. So Charlie Kirk knew how to do that part of it. Newscasters tend to be disingenuous and they got words put in their mouths. He wasn't like that. He actually believed
I would
this.
actually correct myself in saying not media, but propaganda. He was the propaganda arm of the right-wing movement. I think that's the better word to use there.
Well, he was certainly giving propaganda, although I would truly tell you that he was a communicator. Because his whole they sent him out not just to give talking points. His job was to hold these debates, and in order to
it was the charisma factor. He has that charisma.
Yeah, but on top of that,
just objectively looking at it.
But on top of that, education is the ability to take the complex and make it simple. That was Charlie's real job, to hold these debates, to indoctrinate people, to take these complex concepts and try to make them either simple or more palatable. That was his job.
But that's essentially the role of propaganda. I
don't want to get into.
I'm not saying you're consumed that spreads your message in a way that they can understand.
Right. I'm not saying you're quote unquote wrong. What I will say is that propaganda is something you have to communicate. So yes, you can be a propagandist. I've met a lot of inept propagandists, and Charlie was not fantastic either. I'm no friend of Charlie Kirk. I have no incentive to label him as something other than what I really think, because he was no friend of mine, but as you can all tell. Yeah. But I would put him more in the category of a communicator than just a propagandist. Yes, he's selling you propaganda, but his main job was, how do I make this palatable? The propaganda is the subject I'm supposed to talk about, but my real job is, how do I sell you on this? So think of it more like a salesman. How do I sell you on this? Because anybody can give him the talking points. The problem is their talking points are poisonous and most people reject them. So his job was, okay, how do I sell millennials and Gen Z on this toxic, poisonous thing? You hand me the propaganda and I'll figure out how to sell them on it. And that was what was dangerous about him, was he was going around trying to figure out, how do I make this palatable? And when he realized that didn't work, well, I'll just lie to you about what we're selling you.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said before, he had the money behind him to like amplify that. I mean, just to the nth degree.
Oh, when you got $80 million, you got a hell of a bullhorn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a news network.
And what he used it for, that was what he used it for. Of course, they put it into their organization, but the real thing is that's what they used it for, to get into these universities and get these events. They've really been leveraging their money. And then to hold their Turning Point USA events where they all have it as a freak off and sleep with each other. That was important too. So to have these rallies, and they have the big screens up there and stuff, and it looked like a Republican convention. That's what most of their money really went into, is to make these optics that we're this big organization and we do great things. And it was really about selling the production value. If it looks like a big clean production, well, they must be a big clean organization doing things. And in reality, it wasn't. In reality, it wasn't. But he was definitely out there to sell optics of it. And he was a good spokesperson. You can't take that away from him, evil genius or not. He was a good, competent spokesperson who did the best he could with the material that he was given. However, now if you want a replacement, that's going to be very, very difficult to get. And here's their biggest problem. There isn't a second in line to step up. There isn't one. There's not. If there were, he would have shown himself not last week. He would have had to already been circling. All the spotlight was on Charlie. He was the only person you identify with it. There is no second person. So with him gone, there isn't, even if somebody jumps up, they would have to get themselves legitimized by the people. You realize how long that'll take?
It's going to take a long time. I think that they will find, and
I don't.
I'm just like objective and honest here. I mean, they're going to find like another person from another group, and
I don't.
They're going to come up and they're going to put that money behind them.
I don't.
I hope they don't. But the truth of the matter is, there's enough people out there who are racist shit, people who, believe in these ideologies, and
well, let me correct what I just said right there.
They're going to find somebody.
Let me correct what I said right there.
Whether or not they'll be as popular.
No. I think what happened. This was going to disintegrate.
Another message. Another.
No, this one's going to disintegrate, and they're going to have to start over from zero. So I'm not going to say they will not find another one, because they always go looking for another one. So there will inevitably be somebody else. I don't think it'll be Turning Points, but the money that's behind Turning Point will go somewhere else. It's going to take time to find another one. If I had to select somebody right now, it's not Ben Shapiro, it's Benny Johnson. If I had to select somebody, it would not be Ben Shapiro, it would be Benny Johnson. I have to imagine that his phone has been ringing with some nefarious individuals in hushed tones telling him, hey, we got a deal for you. You want to leave the minor leagues. So if there were somebody I was looking at, it's definitely not going to be Nick Fuentes. It's not going to be Ben Shapiro. If I had to name somebody right now, it would be Benny Johnson. But he would have to get a lot smarter than he currently is. And because he's media savvy, so that he does do, but he can't win a debate to save his life. So that would be the issue for him.
And that was the Kirk guy. That was like his gift, I guess, if you want to call it something like that. But it was his ability to drive a debate. Like he would take charge and like grab you by the throat before you even had the chance to say anything. I mean, and he would drive that.
Well, that was behind
him because he almost only
saw Ben Shapiro do it. He saw Ben Shapiro sit up here and ragdoll these high schoolers and college freshmen. As I was saying at the beginning, there are plenty of videos and of debates of Charlie Kirk getting dog walked. Cambridge is just one of them. Y'all can go look it up on YouTube. At Cambridge, there was a redhead kid when he went overseas in Britain. He got dog walked by them over there. Oh, what they were actually members of the debate team over there. So when he wasn't quote unquote debating high schoolers and college freshmen like Ben Shapiro, they would do that and put it on their websites as if this was some heavy debate. You're debating a bunch of college freshmen. You're a lawyer. Why don't you talk to the professors, assistant professors, adjunct professors? How about some of the senior students? Why don't you talk to them? Of course, they wouldn't do that because you can't cut that video because it always went terrible. So he was social media savvy in that go find a person who's not very equipped or is a dunce, make a clip of that. Oh, Charlie Kirk schools, liberal schools, woke students. And it's really like, this is the freshman. As soon as he talked to literally anybody else, it was horrible. And those were not clips that they would post on their social media.
Yeah, but I guess my thing is like, you're right in all of that. Like 100% right on all of that. I think the problem was that he had the ability to put that out. You know, the people behind him had the ability anyway to put that out, market it in a way that brought in a lot of people who, you know, would look at it and just say like, oh, it's just college students. They're not being analytical the way you are in breaking down, you know, where they are in that college hierarchy. They're not professors. They're not grad students. They're not upperclassmen. These are usually like freshmen who it's their first year on campus. They want to go out and have a good time. And they think this is like, you know, they want to get involved, whatever you want to call it. This is their way of getting involved. And so that, you know, it's just the young people. It's like the 18, 19-year-olds, like you're saying. But
those are the ones he wanted to talk to. He wanted to talk to them because he was trying to proselytize.
Who he is choosing his victims to be. I mean, I guess if you want to call it that, because the way he drove those debates, I mean, I would call them, you know, debate victims.
Yeah, that was exactly.
A lot of those kids had no chance.
Well, yeah, because I'm sitting up here, like I said, when he's talking about the murder of Trayvon Martin, he's saying outright lies. And the thing about that is, for example, we have to remind ourselves, it's been 13 years since that happened.
Yeah, most of those kids are like you're saying.
I mean, if they're 18 years old, if they're 18 years old now, they were 5 or 6 years old when that happened. They don't remember. When you talk about O.J. Simpson, they weren't even born when that happened.
I mean, there's people who are like 30 years old who don't remember some Democratic lawmakers got shot in Minnesota just a few months ago. I mean, people's memories of
Charlie Kirk was what, a year old when O.J. Simpson happened? He was a year old trying to tell you about what really happened with O.J. Simpson, and he was a year old.
No, that's right. That's 100% right. I mean,
so yeah, that's the propaganda.
It's a major historical event. So, you know, just like we comment on things that happened 100 years ago, I guess he has the right to, if he wants to. He just had the wrong opinion.
Well, he can comment. He can comment about it, and anybody can comment about it. Well, the problem is when you start fabricating and making things up. Now that's when we have an issue. Well, it's been 30 years, so let me tell you something that happened. Let me tell you it happened this way when it really didn't. And he really just hopes that the person he's talking to doesn't know. He's been given talking points. I'm hoping they don't know, because the second they do, I notice he does that. As soon as he's proven wrong, he wants to change the subject and pivot to something else. So these other folks kind of Sarah Palin him, and they're like, if you get caught, just pivot to something else, because details are not going to work for you when it fails. So that was the strategy they gave him. Use the talking points. If it fails, hurry up and pivot. And the folks who really caught him were the ones who wouldn't let him pivot. And it's like, okay, now he got broken down. But going forward, I don't really see a future for Turning Point. I don't see it for them. Not his wife taking over. Nobody else going to do that. And the real fight begins this week. I'll let you have the last word.
Oh, I was going to say, I mean, you know, I don't see Turning Point themselves moving on. I think something else will fill the vacuum eventually. I don't even think people who are prominent in the movement right now, I don't see any of those people coming, not even Benny Johnson. I think what they're going to find is some other kid in a school who's like kind of a disciple of Charlie Kirk, who does that same thing, who's got like a growing media presence, you know, social media presence. I think honestly, I think they're going to find somebody like that, and just like they did with Charlie Kirk, they're just going to put a bunch of money, like you're talking about too, is they're going to put this 80 million, whatever the fuck, behind them. And they're going to use, like, this is Charlie Kirk's disciple. He's stepping up after his, you know, master got murdered or whatever, you know, like, I'm going to fight for the sensei kind of thing. And that's going to drive those people. I mean, it's, you know, we're not talking about what we believe. We're talking about what they believe. And what they believe is that, you know, he's a martyr. Like, this disciple's going to come up underneath him, and you know,
it's a major setback. It's a major setback. They have to do something, but this is a hideously major setback. My prediction is they're not going to recover from this anytime soon. And it's a fractious event because they're all going to be fighting over it.
Like, we shouldn't be getting complacent with thinking that, it's just over. This is it. This is like the last day for them. Like,
as a matter of fact, I have some thoughts about that.
And I would keep vigilant.
I have some thoughts about that. Now that I've talked to you, I actually have some thoughts about that, which I want to get into. Thank you very much. Give us a call. I got some thoughts about that I want to get into here in just a moment. Let me take Let me take one more person up here. I got Kirk up here on Zoom. We got Kirk up here on Zoom. Let me see if I can get him up here. Kirk, I can give you about 5 seconds. Make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on for me, just so we don't have any trolling issues. Kirk, I can give you 3 more seconds. All right, Kirk, what's on your mind?
Hey, Jason. Great broadcast as always. You kind of stole my thunder with the Benny Johnson thing. He was someone that I've been keeping an eye on. It's kind of ironic. A couple of days before Charlie Kirk was killed, he did a big post about black male violence. Pretty disgusting post on X. But a question I had for you, something you haven't really touched on tonight. What do you think about JD Vance, his role in the potential successor? I noticed that he's going to be hosting the next broadcast that would have been done by Charlie Kirk. Do you think he's going to try to take over, some of that, some of the base, just to make a power move for his eventual run? I'd just love to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you.
No. And the reason that will not happen is because of what you just said. If you listen to that whole sentence you just said right there, that's the reason that it won't happen. Donald Trump is not going to allow anybody to start amassing and consolidating power right under his nose. Now, you all know that's a big no-no. You are here to serve him. You want to get on his bad side quickly? Demonstrate to him that you're trying to amass power for yourself right up under him. So if the problem is that JD Vance wants to run things. Remember when Trump got in office, they asked him, remember that interview they did? Who's going to take over after you? He's like, I don't know. There's plenty of people here. I don't know. There's plenty. Might be Marco Rubio, might be JD. Plenty of people. That's kind of ominous if you're his vice president. You're his vice president and he refuses to say that you next up? He says, oh, well, we'll see what happens. He's letting you know, don't get any thoughts in your head that you're going to consolidate power up under me. No, you not. Over my dead body. You get this seat when I'm done with it. But do not think you're going to be sitting next to me consolidating power up under my nose. Ain't going to be. I'll get your ass up out of here for real. So there's the reason why JD can't really move like he needs to. I told you all this before they even got in office. He's not going to be able to move like he needs to move. He's not going to really be able to move like he needs to move. He can't get anything. And see, here's the reason. Here's how Trump sits up here and sabotages everybody. In order for you to get on Team Trump, he forces you to back all of his cockamamie crazy ass stuff that he's doing. So Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., he made sure they had to completely divorce themselves from the Democrats. You got to be Team Trump, 10 toes down, top to bottom. You will be complete pariahs among the Democrats. Now you can come over here with us. But what you will not be doing is consolidating power for yourself up under me. You serve me. You don't build nothing of your own. You're a guest in my house. You don't get to build an auxiliary unit out back. And if I find one out there, I'm torching that damn thing with you in it if I can. So that's the game that Trump plays. No. And nobody, Marco Rubio, nobody, you cannot be in his administration and you building up power for yourself. Trump will cut JD's legs out from up under him. If JD tries that, Trump is going to tell everybody to turn against JD. And everyone knows he'll do it. He will tell everyone to turn against JD. There's no safe place in his administration. So no, it's not happening. JD might want to. It's not, you don't get to make a platform for yourself. You don't get to make an audience for yourself. You don't get to do any of that. Trump is going to make sure that everybody remains sufficiently contained and weakened until he gets in the very last weeks of his presidency, and then he'll probably name somebody or make a decision. But right now, all of y'all on probation. All of y'all are on probation until further notice. And that's it. So just understand, when you have this Darwinian gladiatorial arena going on, I'm telling you all what happens next week. Turning Point USA is done. The folks who are funding it will find somebody else. But right now, Turning Point USA is over. Nobody's really going to, without that Charlie element of debating people, they have nothing to post. Remember, Charlie had a show on Rumble. He was posting videos. That's stopped. All that's done. So what are they going to use now? What do they use now? They don't have anything, people. I'm just talking about logistically. They don't have anybody. They don't have anybody to hand the baton to. And anyone they do hand it to, as I just told you, everybody's going to jump on him to try to dirty him up. If Benny Johnson does jump up, everybody's going to jump on him to try to dirty him up. So it doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter who it is. Everybody's going to jump on them and say, nah, not you. It should be me. And that's where this goes next. So what you're going to see happen next is you thought these people were fractured before. You just wait until next week. It's going to start quietly, is my prediction. It starts quietly with murmuring. They start murmuring against each other. They already started last week. Nick Fuentes was going at Matt Walsh. He was going at Matt Walsh. They're going to be going back and forth there. Next is going to be Candace Owens gets drug into it. When she gets drug into it, now the folks with the big megaphones, because they're all chasing attention and chasing clout and chasing views and clicks. So they're going to have to touch on this major, because this was getting clicks or views at least for another couple of days. And then they're going to try to parlay that into something bigger, but they're going to have to go at each other. They're going to have to. So all the heat that Charlie was getting before he died, whoever tries to step on that in that position, they're going to be the next one getting shot at. They're going to be the next one everybody goes at. And there won't be any protection, because they're all going to say, it doesn't matter who it is, but they're just going to say, you were no Charlie Kirk. You're no Charlie. They're all going to claim whoever it is a carpetbagger and illegitimate. They're all going to say that. So it's not happening. It isn't happening. Not going to occur. I'll tell you another reason why Ben Shapiro ain't going to make it. Tell you another reason why he's not going to make it. Let me see if I can find this right quick. As a matter of fact, you know what? If you'll all just indulge me for just a few moments here. If you'll all indulge me for just a few moments, because I want to find this. Yeah, I was monitoring all the white supremacist communications here over the last 5 days. I was monitoring all of them. And I wanted to stay on top of those things because I was hearing things. I was hearing things, and I was hearing folks say things, and I wanted to make sure that I was like, oh, wait a minute now. Let me make sure I stay on top of that, because you're saying some things. You're saying some things, and I want to make sure that I stay on top of that so that when folks come back and we start talking about this, because they will, you're not going to have the ability to cover this up. It's moving a little bit slow over here, but Ben Shapiro said something. He said something in particular. Well, Jason, why don't you go ahead and tell us, because I want you to hear him for yourself and tell me whether or not you think that this is going to go over well going forward if you hear him for yourself, because he was talking about some folks, and yeah. Oh, I found it. Yeah, I found it, Ben. Found it for you right there. Found it, at least I think I found it. Okay, I'm over here messing up, y'all. I'm actually messing up over here. All right. Ben was saying that Yeah, Ben was talking about white supremacists. What? That's what Ben Shapiro was talking about. He was talking about white supremacists was what he was doing. He was talking about white supremacists and how it is that all these other folks out there that about what it is that's causing the biggest problems and the biggest issues. When he was talking about Charlie Kirk being dead there, he was talking about what he saw as being the biggest issues that they were going to be facing. And yeah, believe it or not, he was talking about white supremacy or white supremacists being the biggest issue that they were going to be running in. Well, one of the biggest issues, he named like three things that he said were going to be big issues for them going forward, and things that were causing problems and folks needed to watch out for. And he didn't just say it just once. So I'm going over one here now, but he didn't just say it just once. He was really focused on that there. He wanted you to understand that that was what he saw as being a big issue. I looked over one video here and I'm like, I know you said it more than once, Ben. I know you said it more than once. I'll just play one here because he was talking about what folks believe and what they think and some type of scavengers. I'll go ahead and just play that for you here right quick, but it was in this vein of what he was talking about. He was talking about white supremacists, and that was going to be an issue going forward.
And power requires violence. Violence is the corrective. The philosophy of the scavenger, I say, is a variety of phantom conspiracies. The racialist conspiracy theory of a dominant white supremacist superstructure in the United States, or the Marxist conspiracy theory of an economic elite seeking to rig the economy to the detriment of the working class, or the transgressive conspiracy theory of a heteronormative society using its power to fascistically enforce traditional sexual mores, the international conspiracy theory of a settler colonialist West using its power to promote its ethnocentric ideology. Every conspiracy theory carries with it the implicit promise of violent opposition deemed morally praiseworthy by the conspiracists, and that's what this is.
So he's lamenting that there are folks out there who have a problem with Jewish people. So he's saying before we get started going forward, there's some folks out there who think Jewish people got too much power, and we need to make sure that we denounce that and make sure that folks are not talking about those kinds of things. So that's one of the things that he wanted to make sure that they talked about. He wants to make sure going forward that folks don't have an issue with that. He wants to make sure that folks got an eye on that. So I'm going to go back over that and check into it again, because if I have to listen to the whole thing again, then I'll just go ahead and do that, I imagine. But because I had seen it earlier this week when I was reviewing everything, and it's all right. I got a little bit of time, not a whole lot of time, but I got a little bit of time. So I'll review it for you all when I get everything together on it. I'll come back to it. But yeah, he was warning people about what that would mean. And going forward, what that could be a problem for going forward. And that we have to watch out for those kinds of people. Those kinds of folks who promote those kind of things, that they're problematic. And everyone needs to be careful about them going forward. So yeah, Ben is gonna have some problems here. If he tries to step into those shoes, he's gonna have some problems. Well, folks, Turning Point USA, I want to say something here tonight to everyone. We have a problem. We have a major issue. It is an issue that I've been warning people about now for the last decade at least. I knew when Trayvon Martin was killed, I was concerned then about what would things look like 10 years later. Now we're over 10 years later, and what you have is a white supremacist media conglomerate that's trying to rewrite the history. They're doing it because these kids don't know what happened. Those of us who lived it knew that Charlie Kirk was lying through his teeth when it happened. The kids he was talking to, they didn't actually know, which is why he wanted to have those particular videos talking to people who really didn't know. He wasn't going to put up a video talking about people who did. He wasn't going to talk about that. He wasn't going to talk about that at all, and he wasn't going to show that. So that was going to be problematic. And we have to start a major push and a major educational effort. They are telling you that these events did not occur. They are telling you that. In the chat room, got somebody talking about R.I.P. Charlie Kirk. He needs to give us a call, doesn't he? I think if somebody says that right there, they need to give us a call, don't they? There needs to be a major educational effort here. We need to let people know about what really happened with Trey, to remind them, not what really happened, but to remind them. Jews faced people making up stuff about the Holocaust. We're facing people now making up things about what just happened a decade ago, not 5 decades ago, what just happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago. They're lying and making that up. They're lying and making that up right in front of us. So please understand what we're dealing with. We need to have a major education effort, folks. You got your schools and whatnot. This idea that we'll just wait on one guy on the internet and he'll take care of that, and I'm not really sure how that would go necessarily. But we need to have a major education effort where at talking about what's happened and what these events are and what really occurred, because they are just lying. They're just lying. I'm going to give Dirty Darren there. I'm going to give him a couple of minutes here to give us a call up on Zoom. Let me go ahead and throw the link back up for him here. But Darren's got a couple of minutes here. We're not going to waste a whole bunch of time. He's got a minute or so to get on here, and then we're just going to ban him if he's not. But people, I need y'all to understand, we have to have a major education effort to remind people. We have to remind people about what occurred, about these events, because you can see they got folk in their age group that they think he's smarter and more articulate than them. They're assuming that he's telling the truth, lied through his crooked teeth. This is something we have to start doing at the middle school level, the high school level. We are going to have to let folks know about what happened with the LA riots with Rodney King, what happened with O.J. Simpson, what happened with Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, Eric Garner, Walter Scott. We are going to have to make sure that all these things are proven and clarified, because you've got millions and millions of dollars being put into somebody to come out here and just lie. They figure that enough time has passed now, they'll just lie about it. That lying is legitimate warfare, and we'll just lie. And if nobody catches us, we'll just keep repeating it. And hopefully we won't go viral when we get caught lying. Now, that would have been the kiss of death for Charlie Kirk and Turning Point, is if they kept going, if they get caught lying and then kept going viral when it happened. That's how you delegitimize them. But for a lot of y'all here, folks, with the schools and stuff, Turning Point USA is in our schools, but we don't have legitimate folks speaking against that at the schools also. In the chat room, Davey Pie, you got a minute to be on Zoom there, folks. Understand, his so-called defenders, nobody's just like Megyn Kelly and Glenn Beck, all these folk, they think so much of him that they can't tell you one word to defend him. Yes, he was such a redeemable, admirable person that you don't even have any way to defend him. You do have plenty of racial slurs. Plenty of racial epithets. What they don't have is a single syllable with which to defend him. Now that they don't have. I got SOS the interpreter in the chat room here. I don't know. Maybe they got something to say there. SOS is trying to connect his audio. Okay, he's on Zimbabwe broadband, I believe. SOS, I don't know what's happening with your audio there, brother. You might want to disconnect your headphones or something there, dude. We can't wait all night for you. This newfangled technology has got him confounded. He was not ready for prime time. What is on your mind, SOS, such as it is?
Good evening to you and your guests, Jason. How are you doing this evening?
What's on your mind, sir?
I'm calling because I want you to know, and the rest of the world to know, that this guy was a sacrifice. If you look at his name, Charles Lee, it's the Charter of Lion. His last name is Kirk. It means the church. His full name means the Church of the Charter of Lies. He was sacrificed in Utah, and UT means Deutschland, which is Germany. AH means a prophet. He is the prophet of Germany. He was a sacrifice for racism, brother. This thing is a total setup. And that's what I have to say. Good night to you and your guests, and thanks for the broadcast.
Okay. Yeah, man, when they get their voodoo bones out and they sprinkle some chicken blood on it, and then let me call Jason. Let me explain to him what happened here. You got to understand, this is the real story, brother. You're close, but this is the real story, man. So I consulted the Zoroaster chart and the astrological chart. And these are the real things, man. This is what really happened. See, his first name was Adam. He's a human. You see what it is. His last name was Johnson. John's son. John, son. S-O-N. Elevated in the sky. When you look through the Hubble telescope, you will see the proof of it, brother. If you take a look at the sun, it's the John's son, Daniel's son, wax on, wax off. It is that. John's son, Eric's son, Nissan. What? It is all relative, brother. You may mock me if you please. You may mock me if you choose to, but this is the truth. This is every prophet of his time is mocked, but this is the truth. So in any case, y'all know when that starts happening, it's time to shut it down. It is time to shut it down when that happens right there, man. Y'all know me. When that event occurs, okay. Waiter, check, please. All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. We'll do this again soon, as a matter of fact. We'll have another Prove Me Wrong soon. But to be totally honest with you all, that's what we need to be doing. People need to get fully informed. People need to get fully educated about these things. And we need to be doing this stuff ourselves. We need to be doing this ourselves. You need to get with your kids. You need to be doing this yourselves. If you have kids in high school, in college, we need to be having these events ourselves. That's what we need to be doing. These other folk are out here, they penetrated your schools while you sitting up here scrolling through TikTok or Tinder or Bumble. While you doing that, Charlie Kirk is setting up a table at your kids' schools talking about Trayvon Martin was hunting down George Zimmerman. And your kids are coming back home. Mom, Dad, didn't you know Trayvon was hunting down George Zimmerman? You all got it wrong. So we need to be organizing that kind of thing, y'all. That's what needs to be going on. In any case, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I know y'all been waiting for it for a minute here, so thank you very much for joining us. I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to my man, Mr. Richburg. Thank you very much for your support tonight, brother. We appreciate that. Big shout out here to my man, Brother Keith.
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time. I told you today I'm still the greatest of all time.
Brother Keith, thank you very much for your support tonight. We appreciate that. To my man Keenan, to Charlotte, she's been out of touch for a minute. We appreciate that as well. Thank you to everybody in the Super Chat. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, some days in between. Click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank you all for tuning in to tonight's program, live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.